Divine Sword of the Douluo Spiritual Pearl. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 176 Attack and Kill. Countless rocks fell like raindrops from the hills on both sides, not only abruptly, but also falling very neatly. Point at this time, the overall quality of the royal knights was shown. Although they are not all soul masters, but the overall strength is very strong. Point the hills on both sides are not too high, which means that the gravity of the falling rocks is not overwhelming. The knights of the royal knights took a few steps back, leaving only the central passage for people to pass through. They raised the knight's gun in their hands and faced the falling rocks. As the rocks fell, they used the spears in their hands to continuously push aside the falling stones. The spears of 500 soldiers formed a steel defense line. In such unfavorable terrain, in such a short period of time, they did not letting a stone pass in front of him is indeed a good practice point. However, as more and more rocks fell, these royal knights gradually began to be unable to withstand it. Some particularly huge rocks fell on the major teams, dividing each team. Point this is the opponent's purpose. These rocks are not for attacking, but to block unnecessary objects, so that they can use their full strength to deal with the person they want to deal with. Point however, people from the major colleges were not afraid, and got off the carriage one after another. They were not ordinary people with no power, but the most elite young soul masters at this time. Thousands of men in black suddenly appeared on the hills on both sides, rushing towards the major colleges at extremely alarming speeds. All kinds of dazzling halos began to flash, and everyone in the major colleges completed the possession of martial spirits and got ready for battle. Point some people even took the initiative to attack these guys who looked like bandits. Just when they thought they could easily defeat their opponents, they were hit in the head by their opponents. Among these men in black, there are actually a large number of soul masters, including dozens of soul kings above level 50. Such a huge force cannot be produced by just any random force. Teachers from major colleges immediately realized that this was not a bandit robbery, but an organized attack. Point at this time, the Imperial fighting team had the fewest enemies in front of them, only dozens of men in black. But they were in the greatest danger, because 3 of them were special, and the oppression on them made Qinming, a level 68 soul emperor, very uneasy. 3 of them are all soul saints. Qinming's face was extremely ugly. Who is this force that can send 3 soul saints so easily? Teacher, why don't they release their martial spirits? Du Guyan asked doubtfully. In order to hide your identity, don't be careless. Even if the soul saints don't release their martial souls, their strength will not be weaker than mine. Qinming, possessed by the martial soul, shouted angrily, children, go deal with the other men in black. These 3 give it to me. It is impossible for Qinming to let the children face the soul saint directly, so today, he is planning to fight 1 against 3. If the opponent does not release the spirit, it should be no problem for him to hold on for a while. The worst is, he will die in the battle. But as long as he can still breathe, he will not let anything happen to his students. Fortunately, his girlfriend Zhaoyan didn't come today, which was his last comfort. Teacher, Qin, what are you afraid of? It's just 3 soul saints. I will kill them with you today. Tianlin held the magic sword in his hand and stood beside Qinming. Qinming originally wanted to dissuade him, but he thought that Tianlin's real combat power was no less than him. With his help, other children would be much safer. Brother Xianmeng, what are the martial arts of these 3 people? Tianlin asked. He had to confirm the opponent's intelligence and fighting methods before he could use his own strengths to attack the enemy's weaknesses. Let me feel it. They are a battle axe, a snow wolf and a painting. Xianmeng Bingshu replied, so, it should be 2 attacks and 1 control. That painting should be somewhat similar to that of the time. They are all martial arts that lead the enemy into the illusion. Tianlin thought, approached Qinming and whispered, Teacher Qin, the 3 of them, the martial soul of the person on the far left is the snow wolf, and it is restrained by your fiery wolf. You deal with him, and the remaining 2 people can just leave it to me with an axe and a painting. When Qinming heard this, his eyes suddenly widened. Snow wolf, painting, axe. Are you, woo, people who can become soul saints are naturally famous figures on the mainland. The three people in front of them are a combination. As early as when the three of them were soul emperors, their fame was no worse than that of Zhao Wuji, and they had already joined Wuhan Palace. No wonder they don't have martial arts spirits, and they still have to cover their faces, maybe because they are afraid that people will recognize their identities. Kinming was so excited just now that he almost revealed the identities of the three of them. Fortunately, he quickly controlled his words. He is not a fool. Since the Wuhan Palace is attacking in a mask, it means that they do not intend to kill everyone. Otherwise there is no need to hide their identity. But if he openly reveals his identity, everyone who hears it will die. He can do harm to others. Since the attack is not for a massacre, it is aimed at someone. Is it Xiaoshan? Kinming glanced at Tianlin beside him. No, if it is Xiaoshan, 3 soul saints are not enough at all. And they won't even let go of their martial souls. And it should be the same in other academies, with 1 or 2 soul saints leading a group of powerful soul kings to stall for time, and the real main force will move towards the goal. Tang-san. After brainstorming, Kinming quickly locked onto the true target of the spirit hall. Only Tang-san, who had twin spirits and was born in the Haoshan sect, was the most likely candidate. Xiaoshan, listen to me. The battle to come will focus on defense. Their target is not us. If we delay, we will be fine. Kinming warned softly. Tianlin nodded. It seemed that Kinming had deduced the truth. The leader of the men in black pointed at Kinming. Just now, this person seems to have discovered our identity. He heard the word in. That case, he must die. As he said that, the thickest man among the 3 punched towards them. Judging from his physique, he should be a giant axe soul saint. Your opponent is me. Tianlin stood in front of Kinming and used his magic sword to face his iron fist. Kinming's fired a blazing fire at the opponent's other soul saint, the Snow Wolf soul saint. At the same time, Huang Dao's other people also started fighting with many men in black. Although the opponents were high level, they did not release their martial arts spirits. For a while, Huang Dao's people were not at a disadvantage. HMPH, a mere soul king bears to compete with me in strength, so retreat. The giant axe soul saint suddenly exerted his force, and the powerful force made the ground tremble. Haha, retreat? Even if you don't use the martial spirit, if you can still let me take a step back, I will take your surname as stupid today. Idiot stupid. Tianlin smiled confidently and continued to stab forward with the magic sword. What? The giant axe soul saint was shocked. He found that his fist wrapped with huge soul power seemed to be made of paper and was easily pierced by the magic sword. At the critical moment, a giant axe was in his hand, emerged, hit the edge of the demon sword, and finally blocked the demon sword point. At the same time, the 7 soul rings on the opposite side, 2 yellow, 3 purple, and 2 black, were all displayed, and the first soul ring was still flickering. Chapter 177 Du Guyan's unique skill. Tianlin soul killing saint. What are you doing? To deal with a mere soul king, you not only used martial souls, but also soul skills. Seeing the battle axe soul saint exposed, the last man in black scolded him sharply. It seems that this picture scroll soul saint is the leader of the 3. There's something weird about that kid's sword. When I hit him with my fist, I was obviously using my soul power to protect my body, but he could easily pierce my defense. If I hadn't summoned the martial soul in time, my hand might have been disabled already. Battle axe soul saint frowned. He didn't understand the meaning of real damage. If Bibi Dong were here, he would definitely find that this feature is exactly the same as her 6th soul skill, eternal creation. Oh, there is such a thing. A soul king can actually ignore soul saint's soul defense. In that case, let me give him a try. Picture scroll soul saint's eyes flashed with a huge spirit. The power immediately attacked Tianlin. It was obvious that he was a spiritual soul saint. Tianlin smiled slightly. Why don't you play with me? You have to play with spiritual power. In that case, then come to my spiritual sea as a guest. Tianlin simply opened his spiritual sea and allowed the spiritual power of the soul saint opposite to rush in. Hey, there is a guest. Let's entertain him well. Tianmeng Bingshan smiled dangerously, and the millions of years of mental fluctuations immediately recoiled. In just an instant, the mental power of the picture scroll soul saint was ejected. Go back. Well, this guy is now even worse than the battle axe soul saint just now. Mental damage is more dangerous than physical damage, brother. Battle axe soul saint immediately helped him up. Picture scroll soul saint held his head, still a little confused. You are right. This kid is weird. Don't hold back. Otherwise we will not only be unable to hold him back, but we may also be killed by him. At this time, the picture scroll soul sage was no longer hesitant, and a beautiful picture scroll filled with mountains, rivers, and vegetation appeared in his hands. The seventh soul skill, the true form of the picture scroll. This soul saint actually activated the weapon soul's true form in order to deal with Tianlin. At the same time, the painting also shrouded Tianlin, the sixth soul skill, the world in the painting. After activating the martial soul's true form, the sixth soul skill was indeed extraordinary. Tianlin seemed to be in a beautiful world with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Compared with the original time, the illusion of the scroll soul saint was more real. It is extremely difficult for a person trapped in such a fantasy to escape. At the same time, the battle axe soul saint carried a huge battle axe and walked towards Tianlin step by step. Although he did not dare to kill Tianlin, it was no problem to temporarily cripple his hands and feet, which happened to be a good thing for their Wuhandian academy. Big threat. Seeing Tianlin falling into an illusion and motionless, Du Guyan, Xianheng and others became anxious. They wanted to rescue him, but they were dragged by many men in black and could not get over. Damn it, you dare to hurt my brother. I want all of you to die. Du Guyan's eyes let out a burst of green light, as if he had returned to the state of being deeply poisoned. No, Yanzi is going crazy. Grind the stone with graphite and set up a formation. Yu Xianheng quickly ordered, and the rest of Huangdao immediately gathered together. The Shi brothers placed a Zuanwu shield array on their heads, fully prepared for defense. This is of course not because Du Guyan was poisoned again, but because she obtained the 50,000-year-old poisonous electric nude skull soul bone skill. It was because of this trick that Kinming never dared to let her play. Otherwise, once used, people would die. And it's not as simple as one or two dying. Du Guyan raised his hands above his head, and at some point, unusually terrifying purple-black clouds gathered in the sky. Go to hell, strong acid poison extinction rain. As Du Guyan shouted the name of the soul skill, in an instant, heavy rain began to fall on their battlefield, and the rain, like the dark clouds, was all purple-black. Wherever it fell, whether it was vegetation or rocks, in an instant, no trace of corrosion will be left. But miraculously, the small area where Tianlin stood was not touched at all. It was obvious that, even though Du Guyan was so angry, that he still remembered not to hurt his brother. A large group of men in black let out shrill screams. At this time, many people could not help but release their martial souls, but it was of no use. Unless the opponent's soul power level was much higher than Du Guyan's, or they themselves had poison resistance. Otherwise, this poisonous rain can corrode even martial souls. It is an extremely terrifying move, but the weakness of this move is also very obvious. When using the ultimate move, Du Guyan himself can no longer move. He must continue to output soul power to make the raindrops fall. Therefore, when the Shi brothers set up the Zuanwu shield formation, even Du Guyan was enveloped in it. It was not that simple to break through their defense and hit Du Guyan. Yanzi has completely inherited Poison Douluo Man's group fighting ability. This is too scary. She killed 3/4 of dozens of men in black at once. Yu Xianheng said with lingering fear. Yes, fortunately Xiaomo's basalt turtle has an abnormal state to resist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to block Yanzi's poisonous rain. Xiaomo nodded in agreement. Is she the granddaughter of Poison Douluo? She is really powerful. I didn't expect that a mere imperial battle team would actually cause us heavy losses. The battle axe soul saint looked at the tragic scene on the other side and was filled with anger. He didn't want to play anymore and turned the axe over. The other side hit Tianlin's arm. Boy, if you break your arm in the beautiful world of paintings, you have been properly injured. It seemed that he was still afraid of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. After all, if Chenzin wanted to kill him, unless he stayed in the spirit hall for the rest of his life, He would definitely die as soon as he left the spirit city, so he just wanted to interrupt it temporarily. Tianlin's bones will only affect his subsequent games. Really? But I lied to you. Tianlin suddenly broke away from the previous state, blocking the battle axe with the magic sword, while his eyes flashed with fire. Burn it. The golden flames will destroy the soul. In an instant, the entire picture scroll world was completely on fire. Haha, this is the consequence of letting naughty children play in your house. The whole house will be burned down. Qian Mengbinken laughed endlessly. Point this time, not only the soul of the picture scroll soul saint, but also the martial soul was burned by Qianlin's ultimate fire. Silly man, I'll play with you later. Qianlin smiled at the battle axe soul saint, and with a flash of his body, he teleported to the picture scroll soul saint. Point this soul saint had completely lost his fighting ability, and was kneeling on the ground wailing. Qianlin was not polite to him, and slashed his sword across, giving him a good blow. Point a human head flew towards the sky, and landed right at the feet of the battle axe soul saint. Point the battle axe soul saint was horrified. His eldest brother was killed just like that. Qianlin turned around and said calmly, take care of one, and then it's your turn. Damn it, I will definitely kill you today. After his eldest brother was killed, battle axe soul saint had completely lost his mind. As for the consequences of killing Qianlin, he couldn't control so much at this moment. Point however, his current opponent is not just Qianlin, because Du Guan has eliminated most of the men in black and the rest of the Huangdao team has been liberated. Now what he has to face is the encirclement and killing of the entire Huangdao team. Chapter 178 Huangdao's True Strength. All attackers are destroyed. While the rest of the colleges were in a tough fight, Huangdao seemed very relaxed. Although the battle axe soul saint had an astonishingly powerful attack power, its weaknesses were also very obvious except for his 7th soul skill, martial soul avatar. All his soul skills from 1 to 6 were single target attack skills. The attack range was too narrow and the attack speed was not fast enough. For a while, he was unable to hit everyone in Huangdao. Point the 3 brothers were originally supposed to be a team, controlled by the picture scroll soul saint. After controlling the opponent, they used the powerful attack power of the battle axe soul saint to kill the enemy. Point as for the snow wolf soul sage, he was agile in attacking, and was mainly responsible for surprise attacks. Unfortunately, one of his brothers died in the battle and the other one was tightly entangled by Kinming. Point, although the level of Snow Wolf Soul Saint is higher than that of Kinming, he was restrained by Kinming's Fiery Wolf. If he didn't have the true form of the martial soul, he would have been defeated long ago. Haha, Ocean, this is really interesting. I have never played with a soul saint like this. Yu Xianheng laughed while running. There is no way. Who calls this guy stupid? His choice of soul ring is so extreme. Once he leaves his big brother, he will be no different from a waste. Hearing the shameful mocking sounds of Xianlin and Yu Xianheng, Battle Axe Soul Saint was extremely angry. Fuck them all. 5th soul skill, Deadly Flying Axe. This is the only long-range attack skill of the Battle Axe Soul Saint, and it is also the only soul skill that can pose a threat to them. Go. Ran. Take action. Qianlin ordered. Guran immediately responded. Understood, boss. The 5th soul skill, Bones of Ghosts and Gods. Gather. The first thing that happened was the Ghost and God Bones transformation, turning into a huge bone dragon in the shape of a death tyrannosaurus, and took the flying axe on behalf of Huangdao and the others, but it itself was lifeless and was scattered. As Guran's soul power condensed, it immediately came together again, roaring ferociously and charging towards the Battle Axe Soul Saint. Yanzi, let's do it too. Yu Xianheng was not to be outdone and grabbed people's heads. He has always been professional. Holding hands with Du Guyan, the Ice Fire Jade Scaled Dragon and the Blue Electric Tyrannical Dragon were entangled together and merged into one. This was the soul fusion skill that the two had completely mastered after several years of hard training. The Ice Fire Thunder Dragon, the 4th soul skill, Flowing Light Immortal Killing Slash. Huang Dao's 3 strongest attack points formed a triangle formation and attacked the Battle Axe Soul Saint. The Battle Axe Soul Saint had no means of evasion at all, and he used his soul power excessively. At this time, even the real body of the martial soul was almost dissipated. With a bang sound, a large amount of smoke and dust rolled up in the valley. After the smoke and dust dissipated, we saw what was going on inside. We saw that the battle axe soul saint Som holding the battle axe was bitten off by the bone dragon. A thunder dragon claw pierced through the chest, and a long sword penetrated through the abdomen. Damn it, you guys actually dare to kill me. Do you know who I am? Battle axe soul saint said viciously as he breathed his last breath. Tianlin smiled slightly and said, of course I know. Aren't you just a bandit? Otherwise, why wouldn't you still be a Wuhan palace that maintains justice and peace? You. Battle axe soul sage pointed at Tianlin in surprise. He didn't know that Tianlin had already guessed their identities, but he still dared to kill them because he said that those who don't know are not guilty. Since you want to hide your identity, it is reasonable for us not to know. Killing the bandit is doing harm to the people. Could Wuhan Palace use this excuse to attack him? The battle axe soul saint breathed his last breath with great reluctance. Looking at the body of battle axe soul saint, Tianlin had no disturbance in his heart. Although he had already planned to help Khan Rinxu in the future, she would have to be in power. As long as Bibi Dan was still in the position of Pope, heavenward it is impossible for him not to be on guard against the Wuhan Palace, and at the same time, he will never be weak in the face of the Wuhan Palace people who attack him. Again, he didn't dare to bet on whether Bibi Dan was a lunatic. Cooperating with her was tantamount to seeking skin from a tiger. The dozens of men in black who attacked Huangdao, except for the Snow Wolf Soul Saint, had all been annihilated by Huangdao. This was probably the fastest ending among all the battlefields. The Snow Wolf Soul Saint sensed the battle situation here, and his huge anger almost turned his Snow Wolf into a fire wolf. He wanted to take revenge, but now he couldn't even deal with Kinming, so how could he deal with the others? And now, he is already in danger. Huangdao is all liberated. How could he not come to help their teacher? By then, his fate may not be any better than that of the two Soul Saints before. Thinking of this, his anger turned into fear, and now he just wanted to run away. While the true form of the martial spirit had not dissipated, the Snow Wolf Soul Saint used his strongest soul skills to force Kinming back and quickly flew away into the distance. Want to leave? It's not that simple. Teleport. Tianlin teleported and appeared on his escape route. The second soul skill, conferring the god of ice and fire, Jung. Tianlin, get out of my way. The fourth soul skill, Snow Wolf's Claw. The two exchanged moves in midair. Faced with the full bluff Soul Saint who had activated the martial soul's true form, Tianlin was naturally at a disadvantage, but with his current physique, he would not be injured. On the contrary, it was Snow Wolf Soul Saint. After this blow, his martial soul true form was released. It did not slowly dissipate due to exhaustion of soul power, but was forcibly released instantly. Haha, it turns out that your level is exactly 70. After being hit by my ice and fire conferred god, you turned back into the Soul Emperor. Tianlin could sense that the current Snow Wolf Soul Saint only has 6 soul powers left. At around level 18, the 7th soul ring was sealed, so naturally he could no longer use his martial soul avatar, let alone level 68. It is 69.9. As long as he is less than level 70, he will not be able to use his martial spirit avatar. This means that he is completely finished. Because Kinming had already prepared his strongest soul skill at the rear, the 6th soul skill, Explosive Flames. Kinming used all his soul power to strike with all his strength. He was an explosive spirit master. The power of this strike was comparable to that of the Soul Saint. Coupled with the attribute Restraint, the Snow Wolf Soul Saint who had lost his true form of martial spirit could, after being hit, his entire body exploded in an instant. Haha. Finally defeating his opponent, Kinming knelt down on one knee and gasped for air. Although the instant attack power of explosive soul masters is astonishingly strong, they also have a shortcoming, that is, their continuous combat ability is very stretched. After all, each attack consumes a large amount of soul power. After a fierce battle with the Snow Wolf Soul Saint, Kinming's soul power and physical strength have bottomed out at this time. Teacher. Take this quickly and meditate to restore your soul power. Tianlin gave him a pill, and Kinming took it without hesitation. There might be another attack later. At this time, we must recover as soon as possible. At this time, everyone else in Huangdao also swallowed the pills, and while all the men in black had been dealt with, they quickly sat down and adjusted their breath. However, they did not dare to recuperate for too long. Qinming only recovered 3 or 4 levels of soul power before standing up. Chapter 179, titled Douluo Gathering. Under Qinming's protection, the others in Huangdao also recovered one after another. Although they were not in the best condition, most of them had recovered to the 6th or 7th level of soul power. Then, everyone listened to the sounds of fighting elsewhere, and came to a huge rock. The 5th soul skill, Explosive Fire. Qinming used his tyrannical explosive power to smash all the countless boulders blocking the road into powder. In front of him were the besieged Xianshu College and Botany College. Although they were both girls, they were not weak in strength. Especially Shubinga and Zuwu's martial soul fusion skills. The ice and snow drifted, and the large-scale ice and snow attack directly froze a large number of people in black. It's just that among their opponents, there is a Soul King with the fire attribute, which was originally meant to deal with the Botanical Academy, but at this time it played a role in restraining the ice of Xianshu Academy. Fortunately, the leading teachers of Xianshu College and Botany College, like Qinming, are Soul Emperors in their 60s, but among the people who besieged them, there was only one Soul Emperor, so they did not show their defeat. Mutually as Huangdao joined the battlefield, the situation immediately became tilted. Huangdao came so quickly. They were besieged by those 3 adults. Could it be that even those 3 adults were repelled? A Soul King asked in surprise. Unfortunately, he didn't know that the 3 words in his mouth were the adults were not repelled, but were all killed by Huangdao, leaving no intact corpses. Damn it, our combat power is not strong enough for the 3 academies. Retreat. The leader Soul Saint decisively chose to evacuate. This time Huangdao did not pursue them again. After all, they had consumed a lot of money. Teacher Qin, thank you for coming to support. Seeing the enemy retreating, the leading teachers from Xianshu College and Botany College immediately came to express their thanks. You 2 are very polite. We all belong to the Xiandao Empire's participating teams, and should help each other. 2 teachers, Qinming has something to ask for. Qinming clasped his fists at the 2 of them. These children behind me, can you please help me? You guys take care of me. I still have a place I have to go to. Okay, don't worry. If there are enemy troops again, we will do our best to protect these children. The 2 promised. Thank you. After saying that, Qinming jumped up and moved quickly in one direction. He looked very anxious and didn't even say hello to Tianlin and the others. No, Teacher Qin wants to help Shrek. Tianlin ignored one thing, that is, Qinming was taught by Flanders. Shrek was his alma mater, and Flanders was his mentor. Now that he has guessed the true purpose of Wuhan Palace, how can he continue to remain indifferent? It was just to protect the Imperial fighting team, so he just injured it. Because of the relationship between the 7 treasures Glazed sect, Wuhan Palace might not kill Ningrangrong and others for the time being, except for Tang San, but Qinming was different. Faced with him who had no background and was just an academy teacher, Wuhan Palace I won't worry about anything. Besides, Qinming only had 3 or 4 levels of soul power left. If he rushed over so rashly, he would definitely die. Tianlin couldn't just watch him die. Xiaoshan, where are you going? Yu Xianheng quickly stopped him. Didn't Teacher Qin want us to follow these 2 teachers? Don't run around. Then, I have to go against Teacher Qin's instructions this time. Xianheng, you are the captain of Huangdao. Remember to take care of everyone. I will be back soon. After saying that, Tianlin used teleportation to disappear, not allowing them to continue at all. Blocking time. At this time, Shrek's side did encounter a big problem. Others only had 1 or 2 Soul Saints at most, and Huangdao's 3 Soul Saints were already taking it very seriously. But this started with a Soul Douluo, plus 2 Soul Saints and a lot of Soul Kings. Flanders and Liu Erlang were entangled by the 2 Soul Saints, and couldn't get away. Fortunately, because of Meng Yiren's relationship, the Dragon King and the Snake Woman were also in the team. Their joining the sect has not been announced to the outside world. This time it is just to protect their granddaughter, and that contra was Eluo Erdiola. and he was not yet the opponent of the Dragon Lord and the Snake Lady. In this way, Tangsun and others only had to deal with those Soul Kings. Although they still couldn't defeat them, with Ning Rangrang's assistance, they could hold on for a while, but there was no problem. But at this moment, something even more desperate happened. Titled Douluo arrived, and instantly broke the situation. The first one to come was Douluo Yuguan. After he appeared, Ning Fengzi appeared with Poison Douluo and Sword Douluo. They had not appeared at Tianlin just now, but they were here as expected. Immediately afterwards, Ghost Douluo, Crazy Lion Douluo and Turtle Douluo from Wuhan Palace also appeared, instantly turning the battle into a battle between Titled Douluo. Who would have thought that in a small valley, 6 Titled Douluo plus Ning Fengzi, the master of the 7 treasures Glazed sect, would actually gather. Ning Fengzi used Tianlin's transformation talisman and concealment talisman to change the 9 treasures into 7 treasures, and hid the 8th soul ring, and began to assist Sword Douluo with all his strength, while Sword Douluo relied on his strength of up to level 96. Ghost Douluo and Crazy Lion Douluo could still defeat them alone, but they couldn't win quickly. On the other side, Poison Douluo also had an inseparable fight with Turtle Douluo. This Turtle Douluo's tortoise shell was somewhat similar to graphite. Not only did he have strong defense, he could also resist various abnormal conditions. No wonder he was chosen to deal with Qibao. The Qibao Glazed sect has already resisted 3 Titled Douluo, and it can be said that benevolence and righteousness have been exhausted, but with the last Douluo Yuguan left, Shrek has no means of resistance. Although Duke Long and Snake Pio's martial soul fusion skills could temporarily withstand Titled Douluo, they could only hold out for a while. After Douluo used his martial soul true form, he was still defeated. Moreover, the countless sharp blades formed by the gathering of Cold Yin completely surrounded Menyeran, the granddaughter of the unparalleled dragon snake. Although Douluo consumed a lot of soul power, he still had no problem dealing with some brats. Guan, are you really worthy of mobilizing troops to deal with such a group of children? Duke Long said angrily. Haha, you should know that we never need a reason to do things. Mr. Long, you have been defeated. If you don't want your granddaughter to die, just stay there and don't move. I think you and your wife are highly respected. For your sake, I don't have to kill you today. Senior Duke Long, Shrek is extremely grateful for your help to us today. Please stop taking action today. You are still my student. I can't harm her. Flender thanked Duke Long. The opponent's target is obviously Tangsun. Even if Tangsun has higher qualifications than Menyeran, Flanders will not sacrifice another of his students for Tangsun. He is not a master, alas. Dean Flanders, I can only do nothing to help you this time. Duke Long sighed. He tried his best no matter what, but now Meng is still being treated as a hostage, and his soul power has almost been exhausted. It is impossible ignoring my granddaughter's life before continuing to help. Chapter 180 Confrontation between Tianlin and Juhuagwen. Seeing Duke Long withdraw, Douluo could finally concentrate on dealing with Shrek. Lord Yeller and the 2 Soul Saints all retreated to the rear. Douluo had already taken action, so there was no need for them to play. Okay, today has been delayed for long enough, and it's time to end. Yuguan glanced at Shrek below with contempt. Goodbye, the talented boy. The 5th soul skill, Gathering of Cold Yin. The petals all over the sky turned into blades and flew towards the Shrek 7 monsters. He was still reluctant to show mercy to Ning Rangrang and Liu Erlong, but he didn't care about Flanders and Tangsun at all. Almost 80% of the time, the blades all flew towards them. After all, Flanders has a strength close to that of Contrap, and Tangsun is his target to kill, so he must naturally take care of him. Don't hurt me, boss Fu. Liu Erlong, who had a bad temper, didn't care whether Douluo showed mercy to her or not, but he still rushed forward regardless of his own safety. Douluo glanced at a soul saint behind him. The man understood, and immediately blocked Liu Erlong. For the sake of you being a member of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus family, don't rush forward again. There is still a way to survive. Get out of the way. Fire Dragon Blast. If Liu Erlong could listen to the advice, he would no longer be Liu Erlong, but her opponent is also a soul saint, and at the same level as her. How can she win so easily? The explosive Fire Dragon was easily blocked by the opponent. The 6th soul skill, Cat Eagle Body Protection. On Flanders' side, he knew that he would definitely not be able to defeat Douluo, so he could only choose to strengthen his defense and then protect Tangsun behind him. However, even if a sensitive attack type Soul Master uses defensive soul skills, how long can he withstand it? After a while, he saw that the cat hawk armor on Flanders had gradually begun to shatter. Haha, a mere soul saint dares to challenge a titled Douluo. He is overestimating his abilities. Under the agitation of Yuguan's soul power, the strange velvet giant chrysanthemum bloomed even more dazzlingly. Seeing that Flanders was about to be unable to withstand it, fireballs rushed towards him from the distance, taking a lot of pressure off Flanders. The fourth soul skill, Flame Bomb. This was Kinming, who came with all his life. Tianlin's guess was correct. As a student of Flanders, he couldn't watch his teacher die like this. Here comes another trouble, an explosive fire attribute Soul Master. Unfortunately, if you were a Soul Douluo, you could still cause me a little trouble. Now, a Soul Emperor who is not satisfied with his soul power does not need to be so anxious to die. Yuguan mocked. Qin Ming, what are you doing here? Go back quickly. You have graduated long ago and are no longer from Shrek. Go back to your Xiandao Royal Academy. Flanders was extremely anxious. Kinming was his most proud disciple. He didn't want him to die for himself. Yeah, I'm no longer from Shrek, so I don't need to listen to the dean's words anymore, right? Kinming didn't look back, and the fiery blue wolf roared. This was a declaration of war on Douluo, and it was him. Determination to protect his teacher to the death point. This scene touched Douluo a little. This touching master-disciple relationship is really disgusting. Since you are going to die together, I will grant you the 6th soul skill, Golden RUI Flowing Clouds. The 6th soul skill, which is stronger than the gathering of cold yin. Golden light blooms all over the sky. It is extremely beautiful, but underneath that beauty is endless murderous intent. The 6th soul skill, Explosive Flames. The 4th soul skill, Eagle Claw Blade. Flanders, Qin and Ming will not sit still and wait for death. Even if their opponent is a titled Douluo, they will still struggle until the last moment. Unfortunately, the strength gap between the two sides is too big. As soon as the soul skills on both sides collided, the attacks of Kinming and Flanders were eliminated. In the end, both of them were enveloped in golden light at the same time. The 4th soul skill, Flowing Light Immortal Killing Slash. At this moment, a huge sword cut across the sky and cut off the golden RUI's glowing light in an instant, saving the two people who were about to die. In terms of attack power, the current Tianlin is naturally not as good as titled Douluo, but as long as he cleverly uses the extremely domineering characteristic of his magic sword, he can cut off the opponent's energy attack directly in the middle. Yuguan raised his head and saw the young man holding the magic sword on the top of the mountain. Although he had never seen it before, the configuration of 1 yellow, 2 purple and 2 black soul rings on his body was really easy to identify. That's Jun Tianlin, a prodigy who surpasses the golden generation of our Wuhan palace. Tianlin glanced at Kinming, who was already seriously injured, looked at Douluo with a cold expression and said, "Your Majesty, this titled Douluo." "What, Lord Sword, do you have any advice?" "I don't take it as advice, but if you continue to hurt me, Teacher Qin, I will kill you now." After Tianlin finished speaking, he waved the magic sword, and a tyrannical sword energy swept towards Meng Yiren. This was an irreversible move in the 7 kills sword technique. Under Tianlin's subtle control, Meng Yiren was not swept away by the sword energy at all, but all the strange velvet sky green chrysanthemums surrounding her were cut down. After all, he is already a member of his own sect. Even if he has not announced it to the outside world, he cannot be bullied by others. He was able to break through my strange antler in an instant. This boy has such powerful swordsmanship. And why did I feel a sense of danger from him? Did I consume too much soul power? Because Tianlin Yuguan became alert unconsciously due to his murderous intent. That's actually because Tianlin can really kill him now. After Yuguan was severely injured by Qibao, he spent a whole year draining the poison. Although he drained about 9 levels and saved his life, his soul power dropped to 9. Level 13, and because the remaining layer of poison has penetrated deep into the bone marrow, he had to be like Qibao before, leaving part of his soul power to suppress the poison in his body, and he would never be able to attack with all his strength point as a result. His current real combat power is only around level 91 at this level, and with such a huge amount of soul power consumed. Tianlin was confident that, if he summoned the god of war to fight alongside him, he could definitely kill Chuhua Parasits, just that the secret of his twin martial souls will definitely be exposed in a big way. Maybe it's not worth it for Kinming Point, but so what, not everything must be based on the word worth. Tianlin's improvement in strength is to protect important people. Kinming has been with him for 8 years. To him, he is both a teacher and a teacher. Friend, there is absolutely no way he could watch him die without caring. What's more, Kinming can risk his life for his teacher, and Amube in the original novel can also give up his god-given soul ring for Tang San's assessment. Could it be that Tianlin can't even match their determination? If Wu Hundian insists on killing him, the worst he can do is forcefully unlock all the seals on the million-year-old soul ring and soul bones, risking his own brain death, and use his super mental power to die with them. Just by doing this, the person he felt most sorry for was Xian Meng Bingxi, who had put everything on him. As if seeing Xianlin's thoughts, Xian Meng Bingkan smiled indifferently. Haha, Zai Ocean, don't worry so much. On the day when I sacrifice myself to you, I will live and die with you. What's more, if you don't even care about your teacher's life and are still hiding to protect yourself, I don't trust you. You can fight today, let alone a titled Douluo. Even if you are a god, I won't trust you. Let's go crazy with you. Thank you. Let's go, brother Xian Meng. Tianlin smiled slightly, gathering light in his left hand, and the Holy Spirit Pearl was preparing to officially appear in the world for the first time. Mere sulking, how dare you speak arrogantly in the face of a titled Douluo? Although Zhu Douluo didn't know where the danger he felt inexplicably came from, was he really afraid that Tianlin would not become a Soul King? The blades turned into the petals of the strange velvet giant chrysanthemum were all pointed at Tianlin. Just as the two were confronting each other, a bold voice suddenly shook away the momentum the two had accumulated. Haha, you said this child is talking arrogantly, but as for me, Chuhua Gwen, you are really getting better and better, and you actually use the big one to bully the small ones, and do this to such a group of children. Chapter 181. Another title Douluo appears. Who is this voice? How could Yu Guan not hear this voice? It came from a strong man who could not defeat him even in his heyday. A huge blue dragon wrapped in thunder flew out from behind Tianlin. Instead of dealing with Yu Guan first, it used its dragon tail to directly sweep away Soul Saint, who was fighting Liu Erlong. This is the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, and this dragon transformation has almost reached the whole body. There is only one person in the world who can use dragon transformation to this extent. Tianlin said, Yuanzhen. Yu Guan called out the name of the person who came. It was none other than Thunder Douluo Yuanzhen, the patriarch of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus family. Yuanzhen released his dragon transformation and returned to the image of an ordinary middle-aged man. Uncle. Liu Erlang exclaimed. How could his uncle come here? You know, he is the only titled Douluo in the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus family. Therefore, Yuanzhen would not leave the family easily unless something important happened. The last time he left was to participate in the title ceremony of the Qibao Glazed Clan to propose marriage to Poison Douluo for his grandson. Even though he was very concerned about Yu Xianheng's finals, no matter how much he wanted to come and watch his grandson's wonderful performance, he could not come out for the sake of his family. Ning Fengzi, who was not far away, smiled slightly. This was of course his work. He asked Yuanyang to visit the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family and temporarily replace Yuanzhen as guardian of the clan. Only then did Yuanzhen get this free time to go out and play. This is the extravagant use when there are many titled Douluo. If you want to replace it with the original 7 treasures glazed sect, you don't have the capital. The letter Ning Fengzi wrote to him stated that they would meet here today, but he didn't expect that as soon as Yuanzhen arrived, he would see the shameless group of titled Douluo and Soul Douluo from Wuhan Palace bullying the group of company members. Children who haven't graduated yet. This made Yuanzhen, who always hated evil and had a strong personality. How could he endure it? So he took action without hesitation. Yu Guan also understood. No wonder he felt a huge threat from Tianlin just now. It turned out that Yu Yuanzhen was not far behind him. Did he just say that no matter how talented Tianlin was, he would not be a threat? He is the right one for a title. Douluo. Zhuhuoguan thought his explanation was perfect, but he mistook the source of the danger very well. When Tianlin saw Yu Yuanzhen's arrival, he silently withdrew his left hand that was originally about to release the Holy Spirit bead. With Thunder Douluo already here, was there any room for jumping at Zhuhua Pass? The remaining title Douluo from the Spirit Hall who were fighting above saw Yu Yuanzhen's arrival and knew that the situation was over, so they immediately ended the battle and retreated to the side. Shenzhen and Du Gubo also followed Ning Fengzi and stood beside Yu Yuanzhen. The 8 super bosses were tit for tat, and Yu Guan's expression was ugly. Ning Fengzi, Yu Yuanzhen, your 7 treasures Glazed sect and the Blow Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family are prepared to fight us to the end. The 3 upper sects have always had the same spirit. Yu Guan, don't you even know this? Ning Fengzi's gentle but firm voice sounded point this time. He took advantage of Wuhan Palace's attack and was prepared to make this sentence become the truth point. Although I have always said this in the past, in fact, the 3 upper sects not only fight on their own, but are often in competition. Fortunately, it is a relatively healthy competition, and there is no deep hatred between the 3 parties. Ning Fengzi once said that when he was young, fights could be seen everywhere on the mainland. Although he and Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo walked in crisis every day, he had never been afraid in his heart. In the past 10 years or so, for some unknown reason, the disputes have suddenly and gradually decreased. This is a good thing, but Ning Fengzi, who is full of crisis awareness, always feels that this is like the calm before the storm. The more stable it is at this time, the more turbulent it will be later. Will be bigger. Therefore, the 3 upper sects must truly unite. The Haotian sect has already retreated from the world, so he will use Tang Hao and Tang San to lure them out. The Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus family is in a corner, so he will take advantage of today's opportunity to forcefully drag them down. HMPH, we are in trouble today. Old Ghost, Crazy Lion, and Turtle, let's go. A beam of moonlight shot into the sky, which was an order to retreat to other people in the Spirit Hall. When all the men in black saw this light, they all obeyed the order and evacuated immediately. Soon, the valley completely returned to peace. The Soul Masters were seriously depleted of soul power, so it was left to the Royal Knights to break up the boulders and open the way. Xiaoshan, are you okay? At this time, Zuking came to them. After all, he still had the identity of a prince, and the crisis had not been resolved. Ning Fengzi did not allow him to show up at all, and the Royal Knights never left. Protect him, brother. Zhu, I'm fine. Uncle Ning and the others are here. Besides, even His Majesty Thunderman has come to support me. Who else can hurt me? Tianlin said with a smile. That's good. Don't be so reckless in the future. I know you are worried about your teacher. It is a good thing to value friendship, but if you are hindered by friendship, then a good thing will turn into a bad thing. Title Douluo is not what you can do to resist. Zuking breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, it wasn't just Tianlin who wanted to take action just now. She almost couldn't help it. After all, it was a title Douluo. No matter how strong her Xiaoshan was, she didn't think that she had reached the level where she could compete with a title Douluo. Once he thought, if you rise up, you will surely die. At that time, she was afraid that she would not be able to help, but let her angel spirit spread its 6 wings and let Zhu Douluo fire the angel holy sword. Zhu Douluo belonged to that woman anyway, so she didn't care. At this time, Ning Rangrong, who originally wanted to throw herself into Tianlin's arms and act like a spoiled brat, suddenly became jealous. She didn't quite understand herself. They were both boys, so why did she use the sword? When my brother and the prince stood together, they were more right than when he stood with her. Brother, Jian is the most annoying. Rangrong just experienced such a dangerous thing, and you didn't even come to comfort me. I will ignore you. Ning Rangrong pouted and kept muttering, that's just right, Xiaoshan. Since Rangrong doesn't want to talk to you now, then you can come to the big brother's carriage. You have just been severely depleted of soul power. The power of Xiangsu can help you speed up your recovery. Zuking hit the snake with a stick, as if he didn't understand Ning Rangrang's words. He didn't give Tianlin any room to refuse, so he dragged Tianlin back. Tianlin found that he couldn't break free at all. This was certainly due to his own excessive consumption, but more importantly, it was Zuking himself. After Xiangsu's power assisted him in training, Tianlin felt that Zuking at this time was probably she has reached the 7-ring Soul Saint level when she officially appeared in the original work, and with the special features of Seraphim, her true combat power has almost reached the level of title Douluo. When Ning Rangrang saw that his brother Jian actually followed Zuking, his aggrieved face wrinkled up. Tianlin was wronged. He didn't want to follow Zuking, but he couldn't break free. He couldn't let Sword Douluo do it. Come on with a sword. It seems that I have to comfort this little princess from now on. Chapter 182. Arriving at Wuhan City, Qinming joins the clan. The royal knights smashed all the boulders, allowing the colleges to continue on their waypoint. Although the enemies have retreated, they are still not feeling well. Some need to recover, such as Qinming Flanders. Some are recovering their soul power, such as Tianlin and Huangdao, and some are sulking, such as Ning Rangrang. On the contrary, Tang San, the culprit of this incident, had nothing wrong with him. He was now sitting in Ning Fengzi and Yu Yuansen's carriage, asking about the cause and effect of this incident. Of course, Ning Fengzi couldn't tell him everything. He just told him that this matter was related to his father and the Haoshan sect. He wanted to use the father and son to drag down the Haoshan sect, which had been evading for more than 10 years. With Ning Fengzi's intelligence, how could he not have noticed Wuhan Palace or Bibi Dong's ambition? Wuhan Palace was already stronger than the upper 3 sects combined, and now the lower 4 sects were all dependent on Wuhan Palace. If they continue as before, they are afraid that they will be defeated one by one. If Tianlin knew what Ning Fengzi was thinking at this time, he would definitely give a thumbs up. This is how the Qibao Glazed sect and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus family were wiped out in the original book. He has foresight, so he has been working hard to strengthen the sect. Worked hard to survive the disaster, while Ning Fengzi just relied on Goose Walk. The only pity is that Ning Fengzi can't guess the specific time of Bibi Dong's action. Even now, Tianlin is not sure. After all, with his arrival, the sect has become much stronger. There is no guarantee that Wuhan Palace will not do it for Bibi Dong in the future. Don't add variables and start acting early. It seems that after the ability to predict the future has cooled down, it must be used again within the sect to determine the opponent's accurate attack time. That night, the large army finally arrived at Wuhan City. After getting off the carriage, Tianlin obviously felt that Tang San was a lot more polite, probably because he had a good impression of Ning Fengzi. However, his thoughts in his heart have not changed. He will still accept the Qibao Glazed sect in the future. At worst, he will continue to let Ning Fengzi be the leader of this sect affiliated with the Tang sect, which can be regarded as repaying today's life-saving grace. It's a pity that Tianlin didn't use soul reading on him now. Otherwise, if he knew what he was thinking, he would definitely be unable to help but kill him with the magic sword. Tang San is the only one who can talk about repaying kindness with hatred so fresh and refined. As the crown prince of Xiandao, Zuking was assigned a different place of residence from the contestants, so she did not continue to drag Tianlin. Moreover, Tianlin's soul power had basically been restored, so she could let him go with peace of mind. Tianlin did not intend to continue to follow Zuking. After all, this was her home. It was rare for her to return home, so she would probably find an opportunity to visit her grandfather back at the Imperial fighting team. Tianlin helped Qinming go back to rest. He was hit by Zhu Douluo's soul skill today and was seriously injured. Xiaoshan, thank you for today. If you hadn't arrived in time, Dean Flender and I would have died in the battle. Qinming said gratefully. It's nothing, Teacher Qin. You can risk your own life for your teacher, can't I? Tianlin said with a smile. Looking at Tianlin's still young face, Qinming was very moved. Such a child stood in front of a titled Douluo when he was injured and told the titled Douluo that if he dared to hurt him again, he would be punished. Kill him. What a courage. Thinking of this, Qinming suddenly said subconsciously, Xiaoshan, do you still remember that during the title ceremony, you invited me to join your sect? Does this invitation still count? If Tianlin's act of giving him the purple gold pill back then was to make him feel grateful. Then Tianlin's risking his life to save him today completely shaken his heart that originally only wanted to be a free soul master. Of course, Teacher Qin is willing to come, and I welcome you from the bottom of my heart at any time. Tianlin was very happy. Like the previous unparalleled dragon snake couple, Oscar, Mahanjan and others, Tianlin basically planned them to enter the sect step by step, but today, he did not think about this at all. He just simply wanted to protect his friends and teacher. But I didn't expect that. I had no intention of inserting willows into the trees. This is what is called treat others with sincerity, and others will reciprocate with sincerity. After telling Qinming to have a good rest, Tianlin walked out of the room. The rest of the Imperial fighting team also stood at the door worriedly. Tianlin smiled and comforted. Don't worry, Teacher Qin is fine. Although he was injured, he can recover as before after taking my elixir and recuperating for a period of time. However, in the first few games of the finals, I'm afraid I won't be able to direct tactics for us. We have to rely on ourselves. Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Oslo said nonchalantly, what's the matter? With our strength, even without any tactics, we can crush other colleges. You're right, with Ziocean here, even if they meet Wuhandian Academy, they can't defeat us. Du Guian patted Tianlin on the shoulder. Although she kept saying she was protective of this younger brother, Tianlin's real strength is actually stronger than everyone else in Huangdao combined. Yanzi, not only Ziocean, but also I'm here. I'm Huangdao's captain and your fiancé. Can you have more confidence in me? Yu Xianheng said jealously. Du Guyan glanced at him sideways. Let's wait until you become the Soul King. Even Ziocean, Guran has already surpassed you. Yanzi, don't worry, it won't take long for me to surpass Guran. Yu Xianheng said with confidence. Although Guran overtook him at a curve and made him dissatisfied for a long time, after a life and death battle with Soul Saint, he found that his bottleneck had been loosened, and he was confident that he could break through to level 50 in a short time. It's a pity that this is Wuhan City and the finals are approaching. Even if he completes the breakthrough, he will not be able to hunt the soul beasts and advance to the Soul King point. But what he didn't know was that there was a big dinosaur hidden in Tianlin's belt. This was a gift specially left for Yu Xianheng or Du Guyang. Now it seems that this gift will most likely belong to Yu Xianheng. 3 days later, in front of the Pope's palace, the opening ceremony of the finals finally officially began. There are 15 teams from each side of Xiandao Star Luo qualifying, plus the teams recommended by the two empires and Wuhan Palace. There are 33 teams in total. They are all the elites of the younger generation on this continent, symbolizing the future of the continent. No team that can enter the finals is weak. From here on, senior sister Huan Yin will basically not play again. Huangdao's control system Soul Master has been replaced by Du Guyan. They will face the battle with the full main Linux. Bibi Dong did not attend the opening ceremony. She usually had to wait until the top 3 colleges showed up before she showed up. This made Tianlin a little disappointed. He originally wanted to see what the legendary female pope in the original book looked like. How beautiful must one be to turn an angel Douluo into a chamber Douluo? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 183 The First Battle of the Finals, Nightshade Academy. After the opening ceremony, lots were drawn to determine the order of the games. With Qinming absent, Yu Xianheng, as the captain, naturally had to take on the responsibility of leading the team. It was also his job to check game information. When they saw Yu Xianheng coming back, everyone hurriedly asked, Xianheng, who is our opponent in the first round of the finals? Now that the competition has entered an elimination system, as long as it loses one game, it will be eliminated. Therefore, even the Royal Dao team does not dare to be careless. We are in the 5th game today. Don't worry, our opponent is not a great character. He comes from Solonum Kui Academy in the Star Luo Empire. Even if Xiaoshan and Guran don't make it, I can beat their whole team by myself. Yu Xianheng looked very relaxed. He didn't plan to bother Tianlin in the first game, but when he heard the name of the college, Tianlin suddenly turned around and said, Tianheng, what is the name of this college? Solanum, what's wrong? Tianheng, I have to compete in this competition, otherwise my sword will get angry with me. Tianlin said decisively. Although his magic sword did not have a sword spirit, when he heard Long Kui's words, when he said his name, he still seemed to be able to feel the magic sword in his body shaking slightly. Tianlin will not be hostile to Solanum Academy because of a name. After all, this is Douluo Continent, not the world of swords and swords. Who among the people here knows who Solanum is? So there is no malice in the name of the academy, but since Demon, if he wants to strike with the sword, he has no choice but to be more merciful when the time comes. It's just the first game, and your hands are itchy so soon. Yu Xianheng was slightly startled. He didn't think that Tianlin wanted to play because of the name of the academy. Why did he have to lose his temper? It was clearly because his hands were itchy. Okay, then I will modify the list. You can play this time. I won't be on it. Yu Xianheng was not interested in a weak team like Nightshade. It didn't matter whether he made it or not, so he crossed out his name and replaced it with Tianlin. The royal fight is the 5th game, and there are 4 games ahead, including the Wuhandian representative team. However, the golden generation did not play, and some of the weak teams in the early stage are not worthy of their action points. Despite this, Wuhandian's team is all soul sects of level 45 or above. If the golden generation is included, the average level is indeed a little higher than that of Huangdao. In addition, in the 4th game, Shrek met the first team of Xiandao Royal Academy. This was a coincidence. The 2 teams that were supposed to meet in the qualifiers ended up facing each other in the first round of the finals because of Tianlin's intervention. Touched, it seems that this group of people is destined to be unlucky. There is no way. Finally qualified to participate in the finals, but still only 1 round trip. In this game, Oscar's newly acquired 4th soul skill finally appeared. It was no longer an amplified hyperactive intestine, but an even weirder invisible intestine. As the name suggests, after eating this invisible intestine, you will become invisible within 3 minutes. Not only your body, but also your breath will become invisible. This soul skill is not unpowerful. The Shrek 7 monsters all become invisible as soon as they come up. Xiandao Royal Academy 1 team couldn't catch them at all. In the end, Shrek knocked them all off the field with just 1 sudden attack. It is indeed the soul ring that Ningfengzi chose for Oscar. This soul ring is so powerful in a small group battle of 7 people. If it is put on the battlefield, it will become a super weapon for sneak attacks. What is even more terrifying is that this sausage can also be used with flying mushroom sausage. If given to an attack type soul master together, he will become a super assassin with strength, speed, and weirdness in a short period of time. However, this invisibility also has a shortcoming. That is, it is not very useful for people with super mental strength. As long as they are human, they have mental fluctuations. When Shrek is invisible, Tianlin can still clearly sense their every move by sensing the mental fluctuations. Personal position. Let's go. Xiaoshan, it's our turn. After Shrek, it's the Huangdao game. Du Guyan is playing for the first time today and seems a little impatient. Du Qibao, who was on Ningfeng's left, showed a rare and kind smile, which contained love and pride. Xianheng is not going to play this game. He just wants to recharge his batteries and retain his strength. Yu Yuanzhen felt a pity that he was able to come to watch the game with great difficulty, but his grandson did not play. No, I don't think it's about conserving strength. Otherwise, Tianlin wouldn't show up. Probably, Tianlin's hands are itchy. Ningfengzi guessed that it was almost the same. To be precise, it wasn't Tianlin's itchy hands, but Demon Sword felt itchy after hearing Nightshade's name. Tianlin just wanted to tell Emojian that Nightshade was not here. There are 3 soul sects and 4 soul masters in Langqi Academy. Such a Linup is really weak for Huangdao. Even the Wuhan Palace did not send anyone to watch the battle, because such an academy, I'm afraid, if you can't even force Tianlin to have 2 levels of strength, what's the point of looking at it? Point on the Imperial fighting team's side, there is a 1-4-2 formation, with Tianlin standing at the front, Yufeng and Douluo on both sides of the Soul fighting platform, Du Guan standing in the center, Yi Lingling standing at the back, and Xiemo standing at the end. Xiemo's 2 defense types stood in front of the 2 girls, and were responsible for protecting them to prevent them from being attacked by the opponent's agility attack point. In other words, on the frontal battlefield, Tianlin has to overwhelm the opponent's Linux by himself. This made many colleges feel that he was a little arrogant. Although Solanum was not very good, after all, it was a team that reached the finals, and they must have their own uniqueness. I can do even this little thing. Can Ziocean do it? Yu Xianheng said with a smile. On the Soul fighting stage, the Solanum Academy was originally a little trembling, but the clay figures were also very angry. Huang Dao put up such a formation, clearly looking down on them. The most important thing is that the 3 soul sects of Solanum, 2 for strong attack, and 1 for control, are very restrained against a single strong attack. Come on. The Tianlin demonic sword was horizontally moved, and 5 soul rings emerged. The wonderful color matching shocked the colleges from the Xingluo side. There must be a certain limit for leapfrogging absorption. Tianlin has completely surpassed them of imagination. Faced with such a configuration of soul rings, Long Kui did not dare to take the initiative to attack. Seeing this, Tianlin simply took the lead. The moon shoots over the cold river. The Shushan basic sword technique, which he had not used for a long time, was used again today. There was no way the 7 kills sword technique and the Shushan advanced sword technique were too destructive for them, and they absolutely could not stop it. The 4th soul skill, Fire Punch. The 4th soul skill, Kuangsha. The 2 soul sects of Long Kui also took action at the same time. One of their souls was Sand Hippopotamus and the other was Flame Fist. Both were considered good martial souls, and they were the strongest 4th soul skills right from the start. Under normal circumstances, even the Soul King should give in 3 points when facing such an attack without using any soul skills, but Tianlin was stunned and refused to take a step back. The tip of the demon sword collided with the flaming glove first. Affected by the ultimate fire in the demon sword, all the flames were extinguished in an instant, and the flaming glove turned into an ordinary glove. What? Seeing his flame extinguished, the soul sect had no time to be surprised. What he responded to was a swish sound, and his wrist was cut directly. Tianlin sheathed his sword at the last moment, otherwise, his entire arm would have been pierced by the magic sword. Now his wrist was only injured, and he temporarily lost his fighting ability. At this moment, a burst of sand suddenly rose from the ground and completely enveloped Tianlin. The 1st soul skill, Green Scales and Red Poison. Du Guyan quickly took action. Her 1st soul skill was an auxiliary soul skill, the Poison of Excitement, used to improve her status. But this time, surprisingly, the target of this move, not one of our own, that is the Sand Soul Master. Feeling the rapid increase in his strength and speed, the man still didn't understand why the other party wanted to increase his strength. At this moment, the Ice Fire Jade Scaled Dragon spurted out another Jade Scaled Red Poison. As mentioned before, although Du Guyan's auxiliary poison has a very strong auxiliary effect, it will have sequelae. The poison must be detoxified after the battle, and such poison cannot be received continuously within 1 day. Now Du Guyan used it twice on the Sand Soul Master, causing him to completely lose his mind. Commonly known as, he was too excited, and was using soul skills randomly without distinguishing between friend and foe. For a time, the entire venue was covered with sand sprayed by the hippopotamus's own people who were relatively close to him were all trapped by his sand. At this time, Tianlin broke out of the sand at the right time. Sweeping his right leg, he rolled out a strong tornado. This was not a soul bone skill, but a hurricane blown by the strong wind energy contained in his soul bone. Except for the Sand Soul Master, everyone else was a living target at the moment, being picked up by the tornado and blown out of the field. Finally, Yufeng and Douluo rushed forward at extremely fast speeds, and one of them grabbed an arm of the Sand Soul Master and threw him out of the field. This is a win. What did Huang Dao do? Do they have any soul skills? Someone in the stands said in disbelief. Used it. Du Guyan used his first soul skill twice, but nothing else. The two defensive soul sects and Jinnocks in Haitang didn't even take action. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. No matter how much you say, Solanum is the team that made it to the finals, but Huang Dao's victory was probably too easy. Du Guyan's control method is completely different from the previous Phantom Sound. Because Phantom Sound's soul skills need to be charged, Huang Dao at that time was a slow-paced team, but now Du Guyan's poison can instantly attack once it hits. Attacked, Huang Dao's aggressiveness was fully activated. This is actually the true posture of the Royal Fighter team. Chapter 184 Bibidang and Ningfeng's competition in the dark. Huang Dao won easily today, but it also revealed the truth about how Du Guyan uses poison to control him. The first two auxiliary soul skills can be used in this way, which is eye-opening. He is worthy of being a poisoned Douluo's granddaughter. While the matches were continuing in full swing inside the Pope's palace, 4 titled Douluo, including Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo, knelt on the ground and reported to Bibidang the reason for the failure of the ambush plan. This time, not only was it a failure, and also lost several soul saints, they were all a little frightened when they reported. I didn't expect that Tang San's fate would be so great. Even 4 titled Douluo could not kill him. Fortunately, Bibidang was not angry this time. After all, Yu Yuanzhen's appearance was not even expected by her arrive. His Majesty the Pope, had it not been for the coincidence of Yu Yuanzhen's arrival, our plan would have been successful. I can only say that Tang San's luck is really good. Yu Guan said unwillingly. You mean coincidence? Luck? Bibidang glanced at Yu Guan and the others in disappointment. She was really tired of seeing these guys as her subordinates. If you want to say coincidence, this is too much of a coincidence. Yu Yuanzhen. He has not been out of the family all year round, but he suddenly appeared and was killed by our Wuhan palace. He could come to the Wuhan palace at any time, but he chose the day we did it. Also, there were so many routes, and he happened to take it. The fact that we entered that canyon is not so much a coincidence as it is that someone was deliberately manipulating it behind the scenes. Are you saying that there is a traitor in our spirit hall, which caused the plan to be leaked? GUI Mei guessed, but quickly denied it. It's impossible. The only people who know about this plan are us titled Douluo elders and your majesty. His disciple Hulina, and others such as Lord Diola, are just executors. It's precisely because there can't be a traitor among these people that I'm even more worried. Bibidang said solemnly, because that means that someone has taken our plan from preparation to execution to meeting just by guessing when and where we will take action, and even the approximate number of manpower that will be dispatched. It is all clear, and we are completely manipulated by applause. In my memory, no one has such wisdom, not even him. The image of that person from the past flashed through Bibidang's mind. He only relied on the resources brought to him by his family and himself, so that in Wuhan theory it's just some research on it. When it comes to wisdom, it may not be that high. The worst thing is that this incident has now had the opposite effect. Originally, they only wanted to kill Tang San, but now it is the 7 treasures glazed sect and the Blow Lightning Tyrant Dragon family who have saved this Haoshan sect disciple. Tang San is Tang Hao's son. Even though Tang Hao has been expelled from the sect by the Haoshan sect, the Haoshan sect has not deprived him of the title of Haoshan Douluo. This means that at least the Haoshan sect has not completely given up on Tang Hao. The forbearance in the mountains for more than 10 years is not so much an escape as abiding its time. No one knows what the strength of the former number 1 sect in the world is now. The development of the Qibao glazed sect in recent years has been seen by everyone. In just 6 years, its strength has nearly doubled. Now, even the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family, which has always been in a corner, has been pulled out to destroy the spirit hall. The plan was carried out openly on the opposite side of Wuhan Palace. It's as if there is an invisible thread that connects the 3 sects together, and they are connected with each other. Today, this sentence is no longer a scene statement. In Wuhan City, in a large luxurious room, Ningfengzi stood on the balcony and looked at the blue sky. With a smile on his lips, Yu Yuanzhen came out, and Tang Hao was next. He had to find a way to lure him out, and then Haoshan sect point. However, Ningfeng's idea of the three sects joining together is somewhat different from that of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. The connecting line is green, which represents true cooperation. There are 70% of difficulties and 73% of blessings. After all, Qibao's current strength far exceeds that of Landian, so of course he has to bear more and gain more point. However, the line with the Haoshan sect is red. Ningfengzi just wants to pull them out to prevent disaster. Back then, the Haoshan sect would abandon the 4 single attribute clans that were loyal to them at any time. It was so treacherous. How could Ningfengzi completely trust them? Teacher, today's competition is all over. Just when Ningfengzi and Bibidang were plotting against each other, Hulina walked into the Pope's hall to report the results of the competition. Bibidang nodded. There shouldn't be any surprises in the result, right? Did Jun Tianlin and Tangsun take action? No. Surprise, they all took action. Both Team Shrek and Huang Dao played easily. Although Tangsun was a twin martial spirit, he did not grow up after all. He relied on the cooperation of the whole team, and Jun Tianlin. I think no one can stop him except our Wuhandian Academy. Hulina looked up at Bibidang and asked, Teacher, starting from the next game, can my brother, Yan, and I join the team? To be the enemy of Jun Tianlin, we must strengthen cooperation with other teammates. Oh, you three are actually thinking of cooperating. In the past, the three of you could easily defeat your opponents with just a few strikes. Bibidang said calmly. The opponent this time is different. Although I don't want to admit it, in fact, any one of the three of us will definitely lose if we meet Jun Tianlin alone. The strength he has shown now is far beyond me. Even with the skull of spiritual condensed wisdom given by you, teacher, I'm still not sure of victory. Hulina showed such an unconfident look for the first time. But instead of being angry, Bibidang was very pleased. It's a good thing to realize your own shortcomings. You should regard this sword master as a roadblock in your life. If you crush him, you can go further. Don't worry about anything else. No matter what you do on the playing field, even if you kill Jun Tianlin, I can take care of it. Just let go and fight. Bibidang said domineeringly. Here is Wuhan City, and she is a legendary female pope. Here, she can control everything. Yes, thank you teacher, then I will resign. Hulina exited the Pope's hall and quickly found her brother and Yan to convey Bibidang's message. The two of them were also overjoyed. This way, they no longer had any worries. They could repay Jun Tianlin for the humiliation they had suffered back then. The Wuhandian Academy was overjoyed after receiving the news that the Golden Generation had joined in advance. They could not wait to see Wuhandian sweep everything on the competition field. Even if they were as powerful as the Imperial Fighter team, they would definitely not be their opponents. It's a pity that, since the Royal Dao team is the first place in the promotion competition and Wuhan Palace is a seeded team, they both have the right to a bye in the second round. It was not until the third round that the two teams finally played again. In the third round of the finals, only 10 of the original 33 academies are left. Those who can remain till now are naturally the best among all the academies. Today, under the voice of everyone in Wuhan City, Wuhan Palace, the golden generation of the academy has finally arrived. However, they did not encounter Huang Dao. Wuhandian Academy's opponent today was Xianshu Academy. As for the Imperial Fighter team, they encountered a new kamikaze, and they were still operating behind the scenes. This is probably the reason why Wuhandian agreed to let Huo and others transfer to another school midway. They have already reached an agreement, just like the original novel against Shrek. That waypoint, but this little trick can't even cause trouble for Shrek, let alone Tianlin and the others. Chapter 185. The Golden Generation finally appears. As the saying goes, the Golden Generation of Wuhandian Academy has finally made its official debut in the third round of the competition finals. The momentum and confidence emanating from the three leaders were unprecedented for all the students present. This was a psychological advantage that only those who had experienced countless victories and defeated countless opponents would have. I have only seen this kind of temperament in one person. Someone accidentally said what was in his heart. Suddenly, many eyes on the field turned to Xianlin from the Royal Dao team. Xianlin was calmly looking at the three members of the Golden Generation below. Compared with a few years ago, they were completely different in terms of strength and temperament. The one walking at the front was Captain Ziyu. His neat short black hair stood up like a steel needle. His face was very calm. Even when he saw Tianlin again, he didn't show any emotion at all. Next to Ziyu were Hulina and Yan. Hulina, as the only woman among the three, has long black hair and looks somewhat similar to Ziyu. The expressions of the three of them seemed to be carved from the same mold. At first glance, this girl didn't think she was so beautiful. But if you observe carefully, you can feel a strange charm from her. These three people are the three wizards who are hailed as the Golden Generation by Wuhan Palace. They received the Purple Record Medal of Wuhan Palace at a young age. Over at Shrek Academy, the master introduced them to the Shrek 7 monsters. Hulina smiled coquettishly at the audience. In an instant, everyone subconsciously ignored the 7 beauties from Xianshu College and cheered for Hulina. Xianshu was originally at a big disadvantage, but now this away situation has made several girls from Xianshu Academy feel extremely bad. In the past, when their Xianshu girl group came out, they would always attract the attention of the audience, but now, no one is watching. They were both women, and they were dissatisfied and afraid of Hulina. Lena, her charm skills are at least 10 times stronger than before. She may not be the most beautiful woman now, but she is definitely the most seductive one. Tianlin said. So, Xiaoshan, you are still optimistic about Wuhandian Academy? Oslo smiled maliciously. Could it be that you are also charmed by Hulina? No, I'm optimistic about Xianshu, because I think Shubinga is no worse than Hulina, right? Tianlin replied decisively. He didn't speak loudly, but he used his own mental power to make himself the words go straight to the soul of the audience. The audience outside the venue who had been bewildered by Hulina immediately woke up. Looking carefully, Shubinga from the Water Academy seemed to be really beautiful that day, and compared to the charming Hulina, she looked more innocent. Miss Shubinga, come on, I will always support you. The support from the audience came back, allowing the people of Xianshu College to regain some confidence. Shubinga glanced at Tianlin shyly but gratefully. She knew that Tianlin was helping her, but she said it so openly. She was embarrassed and didn't think about it. She was a girl. Compared to her, Wuhan Palace was unhappy. This Jun Tianlin is still so ungrateful. Yan Hen said, actually saying that Shubinga was more beautiful than his goddess Hulina. This was simply a provocation. Don't be impulsive, Yan. Don't forget, we are fighting on behalf of Wuhan Palace now. Don't lose your grace. Ziyu was also angry, but compared to back then, he was able to hide his anger completely. Hulina even licked her fingers gently. Brother is right. I will let Jun Tianlin take a closer look at how the girl he said was prettier than me was defeated miserably in my hands. Wuhandian Academy vs. Xianshu Academy. The game begins. Following the referee's announcement, all 14 contestants on the field had completed their martial soul possession, and the entire Wuhan Hall Academy was fully displayed in front of everyone. The huge soul power fluctuation spread in their bodies among the 3 Soul Kings far exceeded that of Guran, who was also a Soul King. This meant that they were not just entering the Soul King level for the first time, Lena 54, and the other 253, they are really geniuses like monsters. Titled Douluo Qibao saw at a glance what they were, and what they were. Hulina was originally the youngest among the 3, so her soul power was slightly weaker than the other 2. But because of Bibidang's selfish act, she obtained the 50,000-year-old spiritual wisdom skull in advance, and achieved the overtake. And Ziyu and Yan, in order to avenge Tianlin's one-shot attack back then, also worked harder to practice, so that they could obtain this body with stronger soul power than the original. In addition to the 3 of them, the others in Wuhan Palace should not be underestimated. Sun Chuan Teo, a giant sword with a martial spirit ring, a level 48 attack spirit sect. Li Ke, a black horned mountain boar with a martial spirit, belongs to the 47th level attack type. Fighting Spirit Sect. Zhangping, the martial spirit golden waisted Fian, belongs to the 47th level agility attack type. Fighting Spirit Sect. Zuyu, Wuhan Golden Scepter, level 46 auxiliary weapon soul sect. Even the lowest level auxiliary soul master is higher than Shubinga, the strongest captain of Xianshu Academy. The gap in strength between the 2 sides is unimaginable. It's That the golden scepter? Tianlin wasn't too interested in the golden generation, but his eyes were fixed on the auxiliary soul master. The golden scepter is said to be a powerful martial spirit whose auxiliary ability is not inferior to that of the 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda. In the spirit hall, there is a very special character. Because he is not a titled Douluo, he has not become a real elder, but his status in Wuhan Palace is no lower than that of any elder, and his martial spirit is the golden scepter, and his soul power level is as high as level 83. He is known as the only terrifying figure in the world, who is qualified to compete with Ning Fengxi for the #1 assistant in the mainland. The other one is Yilingling's mother. In fact, the 7 treasures glazed pagoda can only accommodate the weaknesses of the 7th ring. For the major auxiliary soul masters in the mainland, it is not considered a weakness at all, because the auxiliary souls are difficult to cultivate. So far, there has not been any auxiliary system title in the mainland. Douluo Point, in other words, the original Ning Fengxi cannot continue to practice, and others can practice, but cannot reach the title Douluo stage. However, with the strength of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, the ordinary auxiliary spirit only has one more spirit ring than it, and there is no too meaningful point. The golden scepter and the 9-hearted begonia are the only 2 exceptions. That golden scepter soul Douluo, who is over 80 levels, his supporting ability is not inferior to Ning Fengxi in any way. He is a character that their 7 treasures glazed sect has always been extremely afraid of. Point of course, that is compared to the original level 79 Ning Fengxi. For Ning Fengxi, who has completed the evolution of his martial soul and obtained the 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda in the 8th soul ring, his current position as the #1 assistant in the mainland has long been undisputed. Chapter 186. You are weaker than I thought. Wuhandian Academy and Xianshu Academy quickly completed their preparations. After the referee announced the start of the game, Lina immediately took action. Haha, Foxy, who? Lina's eyes flashed with light, and she used her best charm skills. As soon as she started point, people at Xianshu College had long heard rumors about her. Lina's charm was not only activated by her eyes, but also by her voice. They all subconsciously closed their eyes and covered their ears. Is this useful? Lina smiled coquettishly. Her charming soul skills have evolved long since she obtained the skull of condensed wisdom. Point now, not only relying on her eyes and voice, she can even invade the other party's mind, let the other party see herself in the spiritual world, and then forcibly charm the other party. Point in an instant, except for Shubinga, who had the top martial soul Ice Phoenix, who could barely hold on. The eyes of the other 6 people all flashed a pink light. It was obvious that they had all been charmed. Point this was still a group of girls. If Lina used this trick on a group of strong-blooded men, the effect would probably be several times stronger. It's so powerful. I charmed the other 6 people with just one glance. If Shubinga's martial spirit wasn't so strong, she probably wouldn't have been able to escape. Tangson said with emotion that Lina alone can defeat a whole team by one person. Strength? Hey, she is indeed a woman appointed by the Sword Lord. She is more beautiful than me. I didn't expect that she could block my charm, but it's not uncomfortable, right? Lina said with a smile. Shubinga's face was extremely ugly. Yes, she blocked the charm, but it also consumed a huge amount of her mental power. After all, Lina's level was much higher than hers. Okay, let's leave it to us, Z. Yu and Yan stepped forward and rushed towards Xianshu Academy. The first soul skill, freezing. How could Shubinga watch her teammates being knocked down? Her first soul skill could be used instantly, and she froze Yu and Yan twice in a row. It's a pity that the powerful ice sealing soul skill in the past is too fragile now in front of the 2 soul kings. Backquote crack, click, click. I only heard a few cracks appear on the ice, and in less than a second, Yu broke out, and Yan, his Firelord spirit, was the nemesis of the ice attribute, melting the ice in an instant. What? The third soul skill, resist the ice ring. Shubinga is also a very competitive girl. At this moment, she still doesn't intend to give up. This ability to resist the ice ring is similar to Huo Wu's ability to resist the fire ring. Forming a repulsive ice ring with Shubinga as the center and spreading outwards, it can inflict damage to the opponent, while also repelling opponents who are not higher than 10 levels above itself. What's still a pity is that Yu and Yan happen to be 10 levels higher than her. HMPH. Dying struggle. 4th soul skill. Lava rolling. Yan smiled contemptuously and hit the ground with his palm point in an instant. The ground became extremely hot and rolling magma rushed out of the ground. Ah. With 6 screams, the 6 members of the Xianshu girl group were directly knocked out of the field by the lava. Each of them had varying degrees of burns on their bodies. The only one left behind, Shubinga, had consumed a lot of mental power and forced 3 instant soul skills in a row. At this time, she was already at the end of her strength. She half knelt on the ground, completely losing her ability to resist. Stop it, we surrender this game. The teacher from Xianshu College shouted quickly point, but Xiao seemed to turn a deaf ear, walked to Shubinga, pointed her moon blade at her pretty face and said, don't blame me. If you want to blame the sword master. If he hadn't spoken for you, maybe I'll be gentle on you. Xiao wanted to destroy Shubinga's face. The competition stipulated that death could not occur, but there was no restriction on scratching a face in the competition point. But for many girls, isn't this more cruel than death? Xiao smiled charmingly, and the moon blade quickly moved towards Shubinga. Don't even think about it. At this moment, Tianlin's eyes widened, and Xiao's attack suddenly appeared to be inaccurate for a moment. The moon blade only scratched off a few hairs of Shubinga. Taking this opportunity, the teacher from Xianshu College rushed to the stage, protected Shubinga and said, I have already admitted defeat on behalf of our college just now. Why do you continue to take action? Sorry, I have always been fully immersed in my fighting spirit and didn't hear it. Xiao didn't care about her question at all and walked slowly to Tianlin. Did you do it just now? So what if it's me? I didn't interrupt the game. You didn't hear the teacher's declaration of surrender, but I did, so I took action. It doesn't count as a violation of the rules. Tianlin refused to comment. Xiao smiled coldly, neither getting angry nor intending to pursue it further. After all, he was no longer the teenager he was back then. He didn't care about Shubinga at all. The purpose of asking here is just to get information about Tianlin. Now at least I know that Jun Tianlin's mental power is also very strong, not inferior to that of his sister, and he has soul skills in mental interference, which can make people's attacks temporarily inaccurate. But he doesn't care. Others are different. The golden generation is now the face of Wuhandian Academy, so they naturally have to be polite, and yelling is not in line with their personality. However, in an academy, there are elites and andes, and it is normal for the good to be mixed. Therefore, some silly children help them to challenge Tianlin. See, do you see? Jun Tianlin, this is called strength. We, the golden generation, don't even use monsters. As long as we have with my goddess Miss Hulina here, there is no enemy that cannot be defeated. This person is right. Although Xiao and Yan's performances are eye-catching, Hulina is the key to this game. If all 6 people in Xianshu College were not charmed by her, they would not be able to fight back at all. Even Shubinga collapsed after using her soul skills several times because she consumed a lot of mental energy. It seems that there is no problem if Hulina single-handedly picked the entire Xianshu Academy team. The strength of Wuhandian Academy is indeed much stronger than I expected before. Can Sword Master win against them? At Thunder Academy, Yu Xiangxin looked at Tianlin with some worry. To his surprise, Tianlin smiled at this moment, looked at the provocative fool, and said, they, including your goddess, are weaker than I thought. What did you say? Yan has a bad temper. If he hadn't been concerned about his image in front of other colleges, he would have been able to provoke Tianlin. But he didn't expect that. Instead of provoking Tianlin came to mock him. This was really unbearable. Tianlin glanced at him lightly. Sorry, you are so weak that I don't want to talk to you anymore. Isn't it just pretending? Who can't do it? Chapter 187. Tianlin's shock. The match at Wuhandian Academy is over, and next is the battle between the Emperor and the new Kamikaze. Just now, Jun Tianlin uttered arrogant words, which made everyone in Wuhandian Academy furious. HMPH, let me see what this Jun Tianlin is capable of. First he said that my goddess is not as beautiful as others, and now he despises the genius of our golden generation. Seeing the people in his college mocking Tianlin, Xiao said coldly, shut up, you guys are not qualified to despise Jun Tianlin. Although Xiao hates Tianlin, He also regards Tianlin as the only worthy opponent in this competition. What right does a group of people who are not even qualified to play have the right to mock him? Ulina also refused to comment. Compared to Yan, who was still impulsive, the two people's magnanimity was indeed far from what it used to be. The 7 members of the Wuhandian Academy team stood aside quietly. In the square in front of the Pope's palace, the two teams were staring at each other. Tianlin and Yu Xianheng stood at the front of the Imperial fighting team, looking at the familiar faces not far ahead. Tianlin had a trace of doubt on his face. In the original book, Huo Wu wanted to defeat Tang San, but Tianlin didn't know why she still did it now. Feng Xiaoshan, Huo Wu, and Huo Washan, as the core of the team, looked at them. Huo Wu took a step forward, looked at Tianlin from a distance, and said calmly, Jianjun, do you know why we do this? I did this just to prove our blazing strength, and to have an open fight with strong men like you. Since you entered the finals with the help of other colleges, and agreed to other people's conditions, and became other people's thugs, these 4 words have left you. Tianlin shook his head and said coldly, they send strong teams to stop me again and again. Don't they just want to detect my true strength? In this case, I will show it to you, so you have to watch it. Both sides are ready, the game begins. The referee gave the order on the new Kamikaze Academy side. All members have completed their martial soul possession. The strongest ones, Feng Xiaoshan and Feng Moheng, stood at the front, each preparing their own self-created soul skills. The 36 continuous slashes of the Wind Demon Wolf, and the Wind Sword technique. Huo Wu, with the help of the 2 auxiliary soul masters behind her, prepared her 4th soul skill, Huo Wu Yao Yang, and she also activated her own talent, Ring Fusion. Inject the power of the remaining soul rings into the 4th soul ring in one breath, maximizing the attack power in an instant. With the Royal Dao team as their opponent, they would naturally have to use all their strength. However, something unexpected happened to them. Huang Dao did not make any preparations, and no one even released their martial spirits. Except for Tianlin, the other 6 people all stood at the edge of the field. This kind of performance is almost like carving 2 big characters on the forehead. Watch a show. What do you mean? Huo Wu said angrily. There must be a limit to looking down on people. Huang Dao's behavior is no different from contempt. Didn't I say that I will use my true strength this time? So instead of looking down on you, I value you very much. Take the move. Tianlin said with his eyes closed. Then he suddenly opened his eyes, the flames burning in his pupils, and a spiritual power as vast as the abyss surged towards the Kamikaze team. Starting from Feng Xiaoshan, his continuous slashes that he was accumulating were interrupted instantly, followed by Feng Moheng, and the wind shield created by the King Feng chapter and the swordsmanship of the wind slowly dissipated. Finally, there was Huo Wu. The 4 soul rings that had been fused into one were instantly broken up. Well, hearing 7 deep voices, the Kamikaze 7 fell to the ground one by one. Referee, it's time to make the decision. Tianlin said to the referee, then looked back at his teammates. Let's go, everyone, this game is over. The referee quickly stepped forward to check on the Kamikaze 7 and said in horror, they all fainted. They were stunned by mental shock skills. But how is this possible? You didn't even release your martial soul, but you stunned 7 soul sects at a glance. As surprised as the referee was everyone in the stands. They all knew that Jianjun was very strong, but no one thought that he would be so strong. Especially the Wuhan Palace students who just made fun of them. Their goddess Ulina's ability to charm 6 people with one glance was indeed very powerful, but compared with Tianlin's ability to knock out 7 people with one glance, it was nothing worth mentioning. This mental wave, Soul Emperor. No, it's even far above that. In front of the Pope's palace, although Bibidang did not come, Douluo was watching the battle. He quickly made a judgment that this was completely inappropriate. It should be the mental strength that a Soul King should have, let alone 7 small soul sects. Even if the Soul Saint encounters him, he would not dare to be careless. What's even more frightening is that he can clearly feel that Tianlin's mental fluctuation just now is far from its limit. He can't even feel where the high point is. Haha, this is the expression I like to see human beings frightened the most. Cheyenne Meng Bingsi was so proud that Ulina dared to show off her 50,000-year-old mental skull in front of his little Cheyenne. Is the 10,000-year-old skull just a decoration? Now it seems like a big deal. To deal with Tianlin, we must use demons. Otherwise, even if the three of us go together, we may not be his opponent. Ziyu said solemnly. Some of the strength they used just now to frighten Huangdao was exaggerated enough, but they didn't expect Tianlin to turn around and give them a bigger one, and this was definitely not his full strength, but just showed a little bit of seriousness. That's all. After all, he didn't even release his martial spirit. Yes, only demons have a chance of winning. Hulina agreed. She turned back to look at the Soul Master with the Golden Scepter and Martial Soul in the team. Zuyu, I will leave it to you from now on, and only your fourth soul. Only with skills can Tianlin be restrained. Zu, you was flattered. Miss Hulina, please rest assured, when we meet the Imperial team in the finals, even if I exhaust all my soul power and mental power, I will definitely restrain Tianlin until death. 4. Victory. Thank you very much. Hulina smiled slightly. She didn't panic. In fact, she didn't use all her strength to deal with Shanshu just now. Otherwise, she could easily charm 7 people with one glance. After all, after Tang San, who was less than level 50 in the original work, absorbed the mental skull, Tang Heo said that his mental power was no longer inferior to that of ordinary Contras. Hulina, who is currently majoring in spirituality, is not much worse than Tang San in the original work. At least she has the Soul Saint level, but her spiritual power is not so aggressive, but mainly focused on control. Just now Tianlin, she thought she could resist the mental shock it sent out. The competition between Huangdao and New Kamikaze is over, and the top 5 have all appeared, namely Wuhandian Academy, Xiandao Royal Academy, Shrek Academy, Thunder Academy and Star Luo Royal Academy. Tomorrow, except for the first seeded Wuhandian Academy, which has a bye, the other 4 academies will compete in pairs to determine the top 3 in this competition. Chapter 188. The battle between the Star Luo royal family. The day's games were all over, and the major teams dispersed. But at this time, every remaining team had mixed emotions in their hearts, especially Shrek and Wuhandian. Shrek's master had made up his mind, after seeing Tianlin's performance today. No matter how much he didn't want to teach Ningrangrang the theory of martial soul fusion, he had to teach it now. Without the 7-in-1 fusion technique, they would not be able to do it at all. It is impossible to be Sword Lord's opponent. As for the golden generation of Wuhan Palace, they originally thought that after 4 years of hard training, their strength had already approached, or even surpassed Tianlin. Today Tianlin told them that this was entirely their imagination. Compared with 4 years ago, the gap between them at this time was not only did it not shrink, it actually grew bigger and bigger under Tianlin's pressure. They had to put aside their arrogance and cooperate sincerely with the other 4 teammates who had always looked down on them. Otherwise, losing their reputation would be a trivial matter. If 3 soul bones were taken away, the problem would be huge. That's big. When Bibidong secretly gave the wisdom skull to Hulina, she had already incurred the dissatisfaction of the enshrinement hall and the elders. However, due to Hulina's status as his direct disciple, she could not be asked to dig out the fused soul bones. This matter was also we can only let it go. But this kind of thing can never happen again. Even if Bibidong wants to give another soul bone to the golden generation, she can't decide privately. Fortunately, the elders all agree that, as long as the 3 of them can win the championship in the competition, and bring glory to Wuhan Palace, then it wouldn't hurt to give each of them a soul bone as a reward. In other words, the 3 soul bones of the champion were originally prepared for them. If they cannot hold on to them, they will be completely unable to hold their heads high in the spirit hall. I have to win this competition, even if I risk everything. Hulina kept warning herself. Although the captain of the Wuhandian team is Ziyu, as a control soul master, she is actually the core. Looking at Hulina's stubborn eyes that refused to admit defeat, Bibidong nodded with satisfaction. She didn't go to the game today, but from Yu Guan's description, she could roughly guess how strong Tianlin was. Strength is not scary, but fear is scary. Nana and the others have no chance of winning. This competition is a test for them. As long as they can overcome Tianlin's inner demon in such a short time, their strength will inevitably be greatly improved. Bibi Dong murmured to himself. While sitting on the Pope's throne point, she didn't take Tianlin very seriously. After all, in her heart, no matter how talented Tianlin was, he was just a sulking at the moment. He was far away from her and could not pose any threat to Wuhan Palace. He was just a sulking. It's just a stepping stone for the golden generation point. Once the soul hunting operation starts, let alone Tianlin, the entire Qibao glazed sect will disappear at this time. Tianlin didn't know about the discussions about him in various major colleges. He was preparing to go back to the hotel to rest with the rest of the Imperial fighting team. Unexpectedly, as soon as he walked out of the competition venue, he saw two people arguing in front of him. Zuking, why don't you go back with your sister? Do you think that, by staying here at Shrek, you can compete with me, or avoid being hunted by the family? This was a mature female voice that sounded a bit charming. She called herself ZHU Zuking's my sister must be ZHU Zuan. There was also a rough male voice. Mubei, the same goes for you. You should have had enough fun outside in the past few years. After the competition, go back with Big Brother. He is Davis. These two guys seem to care about their younger brothers and sisters, but even if Tianlin doesn't have the ability to sense other people's thoughts, he can still hear strong malice in their voices. ZHU Zuan, you don't have to be pretentious. The competition is not over yet. I may not lose to you. ZHU Zuking said unwillingly. She was still so persistent and would never give up hope of survival until the last moment. Davis, tomorrow's opponent has not been determined yet. We may not meet. On the contrary, Mubei, facing his eldest brother at this moment, was very timid because he had no confidence at all in his eldest brother's strength. So much beyond in point. When he left home 5 years ago, he was at level 25, and Davis was at level 33, a difference of 8 levels. Today, when they meet again, he is at level 41, and Davis is at level 49, still a difference of 8 levels. Level 8, which means that the gap between them has not only not narrowed, but has become wider, because the higher the level, the greater the gap between each level, which is common sense point, but this is also the natural result. While Mubei was drunk and dreaming every day, living a sloppy life, his eldest brother was deeply afraid of being caught up by his younger brother, so he practiced hard every day. If Mubei hadn't been more qualified than David Sri Lanka is even better, but I'm afraid the gap will widen now. Seeing his appearance, Davis smiled disdainfully. So what if we didn't meet you? As long as you don't defeat me head on, the rules of our family will not change. If you gave up earlier and took the initiative to go back with me, I can protect you from death. After all, you are my only brother. Davis showed his last bit of family affection. What he said about immortality was actually to waste his soul power and be exiled to a bitter cold place to end his life. For a soul master, that was more painful than death. As for Zuking, I can even let you continue to be a soul master. After all, the future Xingluo emperor will not only need a queen, but also a noble concubine. ZHU Zuking's expression changed. Davis already had his sister, and he was still coveting her. You just watch me being humiliated. ZHU Zuking looked at Mubei and said unwillingly. How could Mubei be willing to do so? After all, ZHU Zuking was his fiancé. However, he couldn't compete with Davis and couldn't protect himself, so how could he stand up for her? But before he said anything, a little witch couldn't bear it anymore and said, "Hey, you are Mubei's brother, and Zuking is your younger brother and sister. How can you say such things? Shameless." Rang didn't care who Davis was. Anyway, it was public knowledge that the Qibao glazed sect supported the Xiandao Empire. The two sides were openly hostile, so she didn't care about offending Davis. You are the little witch of the Qibao glazed sect. I have heard of you, but this is an internal matter within our Xingluo royal family. It seems that it is not your turn, the eldest lady of the second sect, to interfere. Davis looked at him. Rang threatened, "You'd better not meddle in other people's business and make me angry. I don't care who you are." Haha, do you dare to say this in front of my brother Jan? Bullying my assistant is nothing. It's useless. You are an evil-eyed cat who only bullies women. Ning Rangrang mocked, talking about the ability of a poisonous tongue. Who has the little witch been afraid of? She is the only one who dares to call the evil-eyed white tiger, the inherited martial spirit of the Xingluo royal family, an evil-eyed cat. Davis is taken from the anime version chapter 189 Bet Zhu Zuking's future. What did you just say? Davis' eyes were locked on Ning Rangrang, and he was full of domineering momentum. Mahanjan and Oscar quickly stood in front of their eldest sister, but they were still suppressed by Davis's momentum, and took a few steps back. Although Davis didn't dare to really attack Ning Rangrang, it was okay to scare her a little. Besides, Ning Rangrang was the one who provoked her. If he didn't show any signs, people would say that they were alone. This Davis is extremely powerful. It seems that he has reached the peak of level 49. He is half stepped into the sulking level. He is probably on the same level as the current Yu Xianheng. He is definitely not Mahanjan and others who have just entered the soul sect can compete. My Rangrang said you are an evil-eyed cat who only bullies women. Is there a problem? No. One noticed that Tianlin appeared behind Davis at some point. Davis was even covered in cold sweat. He didn't even notice someone so close to him. So if Tianlin wanted to, his life is nothing more than searching for something. Davis quickly pulled Zhu Zuan back because he didn't feel safe being too close to Tianlin. Brother Jian. Ning Rangrang happily threw herself into Tianlin's arms. Brother Jian, this man just bullied Zuking and bullied me. Please help me teach him a lesson. Ning Rangrang's ladylike temperament only responds to people she approves of, but when faced with a nuisance like Davis, the little witch's personality cannot be hidden. HMPH, Lord Sword, even if you interfere in the internal affairs of our Xingluo at will, it is against the rules. Don't forget, you are from Xiandao. Davis said angrily. Tianlin ignored him and walked straight to Zhu Zuking. Zhu Zuking, Sister Lingling is my friend. She came back after curing you last time and asked me for help if she could help you. I agreed. However, what Davis said is right. I can't interfere with your family's rules, so I can't help you much. I just want to ask you, for you, is life or freedom more important? Zhu Zuking didn't understand what Tianlin meant, but she still replied truthfully, they are all important, but if you can't have both, give up your life and choose freedom. Very good. Tianlin smiled and nodded. Davis, according to what I know, this competition is your family's last chance for Zhu Zuking and Emu Bei. To be honest, this opportunity will give Zhu Zuking and Emu Bei. It makes no difference if you don't give it, because of their age, their strength is too far away from yours, and they have no chance of winning. Why, you want me to let them go? I can tell you clearly that it's impossible. Davis would not joke with his own life. Let Emu Bei and Zhu Zuking go. If they wait until they grow up to surpass him, then he will be the one who dies. I will not make such an impossible request, but I hope that after the competition is over, if you defeat them, you will give them a happy life, then drive them out of that cold home, and give them freedom after death, just as you let these two brothers and sisters leave them the last bit of family affection. Tianlin replied. Hearing this, everyone present was shocked, especially Yi Lingling. They looked at Tianlin in disbelief and asked with their eyes, you obviously promised to help Zhu Zuking, but are you going to help like this and directly kill her? But before she could say anything, Zhu Zuking suddenly said, I agree. If I must die, I just hope that after I die, I can leave that cold place completely. This ending is also good. Did Brother Jian want to do that? Ning Rangrang's eyes lit up. He understood very well that her brother Jian was definitely not such a cruel person. She had already guessed how Tianlin planned to help Zhu Zuking, so she didn't refute a word. Why should I agree to you? Davis still didn't want to agree. In fact, he didn't want to kill Emu Bei, he just wanted to completely destroy him. Of course, it was not because he felt sorry for his younger brother. This was just like Emperor Zhu Yi asked Zuking not to take action against Zhu Beng. To ensure the stability of the throne, it was necessary to show some kindness to the outside world. There are 3 heirs to the current Star Dao Emperor. The eldest is Davis, and Emu Bei is the third. The middle one has already been killed by Davis, so it is best to depose, rather than kill the last daimyo. As for Zhu's Yuking, Davis was even more reluctant to part with her. She was even more beautiful than his sister Zhu Zuan, and he had coveted her for a long time. That's it. At this moment, Kinming walked over slowly. After a few days of rest, he had fully recovered. He saw a piece of paper in his hand, which was tomorrow's schedule. Wuhandian Academy had a bye. Shrek Academy faced off against Thunder Academy, and Xiandao Royal Academy faced off against Star Luo Royal Academy. Davis didn't bump into Daimyo Bay and Zhu's Yuking, but bumped into Tianlin. This is a coincidence. It's good. It saves you trouble. Tianlin smiled at Davis. Tomorrow in the game, I can cripple you with my own hands. In this way, I have completed Sister Lingling's explanation. After all, you are a cripple. Why talk about becoming Star Luo Emperor? Daimyo Bay and Zhu's Yuking can be considered safe. Soul skills have no eyes, and the competition stipulates that human life cannot occur, but it is common for people to be maimed and disabled if they can't hold back their hands for a while. Davis looked ugly. He didn't expect his luck to be so bad. The 4 academies had to fight against the Imperial team. He could need Daimyo Bay at will, because he was stronger than Daimyo Bay. But in the same way, Jun Xianlin, who is stronger than him, can also need him at will. In fact, Po Xianlin's threat is very simple. If you don't fight, just admit defeat. But if you do this, starting from tomorrow, there will definitely be a message resounding throughout Douluo Continent. Crossing Luo meets Xiandao. Surrender without a fight. His father would have to kill him then. In fact, it is impossible for Tianlin to do this. Zhu's Yuking is not worthy of offending the Star Luo Empire. Moreover, if he does this, the Wuhan Palace can take the opportunity to attack and deprive him of the qualification to compete. However, Davis couldn't afford to bet. Just like Tianlin didn't dare to bet that Bibi Dong was a lunatic, Davis wasn't sure whether Tianlin was really that crazy. He still has a great future, and Daimyo Bay is no match for him. It can be said that his throne is already a certainty. If he is deposed by Tianlin at this time, who will he talk to reason? Moreover, even if Tianlin doesn't really destroy him, as long as he kills them instantly with huge mental power like today, then once the news of Xingluo's heir being killed by Xiandao spreads throughout the continent, the Xingluo royal family will still be disgraced. It can be said that the current Davis is not good even if he fights, and it is difficult to get off, even if he doesn't fight. Seeing this, Tianlin smiled slightly and said, Davis, how about making a bet? The bet is what I just proposed. Give them both a good time, and the way of the bet is tomorrow's spirit fight. If you win, what will you do? You can do whatever you want, Rangrang, and I will not interfere anymore. If you lose, just do as I say, and for the sake of fairness, the 2 Soul Kings Guran, and I will not play tomorrow. Hearing this, Davis fell into deep thought. This matter seemed to be harmless to him no matter what. Even if he lost, there was no harm in killing Daimyo Bay and Zhu's Yuking to eliminate all threats to himself, which meant that he could not show his strength, kindness, and only one beauty is missing. And if he wins, he will make a lot of money. Xingluo Xingxiandao's honor is his, Daimyo Bay's life is his, and Zhu's Yuking's body is also his. As long as Huangdao's 2 Soul Kings don't interfere, there will be no qualitative gap between crossing Luo and Huangdao, and the average level difference will not be that big. In addition, he and Zhu Zuan have an ethereal white tiger martial soul fusion skill, so the chances of winning are definitely not low. After thinking about it, Tianlin's bet turned out to be completely beneficial to him without any harm, and he said without hesitation, okay, Swordmaster, I will give you this face, this bet, I accept it. After saying that, Davis left with the people from Star Luo Royal Academy. They wanted to go back and rearrange their tactics. Thank you. Zhu's Yuking walked up to Tianlin and said gratefully. Although Tianlin did not save her life, he at least fought for her freedom. Lingling, on the other hand, walked up to Tianlin with an unkind expression and said, Zhuotian, give me an explanation. She wanted Tianlin to save Zhu's Yuking's life, not send her to die. Senior sister, don't be angry. When have I ever let you down? As long as you can win tomorrow, I promise that I will definitely do what I promised you. Tianlin said with a smile. It's because Gu ran, and I will win tomorrow. If I can't play, then I'll have to rely on you, Xianheng, to deal with Davis. Is that okay? Haha, what are you talking about? There are just two kittens, one black and one white. Don't forget, I'm a dragon. Yu Xianheng said arrogantly. Point for him. It would be better if Xianlin didn't play in this game. Otherwise the world would think that Xianlin was the only one in Huangdao. It just so happened that tomorrow he would let the world see the power of the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex again. Point Davis Zhu Zuan is taken from the enhanced version of the anime. The original is too crappy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 190 Crossing Eluo vs Shandao. In the finals, today's game is highly anticipated. Point after the game between Shrek and Thunder, it was the fighting spirit of the two strongest school teams in the world. Without Jun Xianlin and Guran taking action, the two sides were evenly matched. No one could predict the direction of this game. Yu Yuanzhen looked at Yu Xianheng, who was walking at the forefront of the team, and felt a sense of pride in his heart. He knew that today was his grandson's performance stage, carrying the glory of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. He would never do it. Lost point, because once he is defeated today, the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family will lose face, and everyone will spread the word that Yu Xianheng can reach the finals, only because of Jun Xianlin. Leaving Jun Xianlin, his third family descendants are nothing. Point the Imperial fighting team walked onto the Soul fighting stage together, but on the Xingluo side, the other 5 people came on stage first, and then stood on both sides to welcome Davis and Zhu Zuan. Point these two people are full of the attitude of superiors. Today, Zhu Zuan has even changed into a dark outfit. She is indeed Zhu Zuking's sister. Her good figure is even hotter than Zhu Zuking. You're quite good at acting. How come you don't have this kind of grace when you persecute your younger brothers and sisters? Yu Xianheng said shamelessly. Yu Xianheng, make no mistake, I have no intention of persecuting Mubei and Zuking. Regarding Mubei, although I have to bear the pressure of my family and must reluctantly destroy his martial spirit and soul power, at least I can save his life and send him to a small town for protection, where he can continue to be his prince, spend his life drinking and living happily. As for Zuking, I can let her go completely. After she becomes my side chamber, not only can she continue to practice, but she will also enjoy endless glory and wealth. The one who is really going to push them to death is your good brother, Jun Xianlin. Davis said calmly. Shameless. Yu Xianheng was angry. How could he be so easily provoked? What's the difference between the way of survival you gave them and the way of death? At least Zyroshan can find their dignity and freedom. I also have an older brother. Although we will compete for the position of the head of the family, I know that when I encounter danger, he will definitely be the first to stand in front of me. Likewise, I will also fight with him. Fight side by side, because we are brothers. What? Yu Xianheng said, was naturally Yu Xiangxin. Xiangxin, who was hiding in the Thunder Academy team at this time, was very moved by his brother's words, but speaking so lyrically in front of a large audience made his usually cold face wet, to put it. Haha. Yu Yuanzhen stroked his short beard happily. The healthy competition between Xianheng and Xiangxin was what he liked to see the most. Point we usually work together and make progress together, and we work together when dealing with foreign enemies. We live and die together. He has a grandchild like this, so why worry about the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family not being prosperous? As for crossing Eluo's life and death competitive style, he looked down on people from the bottom of his heart and didn't even care about his family. How could he love the thousands of ordinary people in his country? It's true that Xingluo has strong military power, but because of this cruel competition, they don't know what benevolent government is. The royal family is tyrannical, and the people's lives are not good. HMPH, they are all lies. Friendship is everything. Strength is everything. Yu Xianheng, you are ready to take the attack. Davis became angry with embarrassment, and the evil-eyed white tiger roared. To complete the possession point. Seeing this, the referee came to the center of the two teams. Prepare for the game. The loser will be eliminated. The winner will enter the top 3. Xiandao Royal Academy will face Star Luo Royal Academy. Prepare. As soon as the referee finished speaking, all 7 people from both sides had completed their preparations. They all had 2 yellow and 2 purple soul rings. All 14 people on the field were soul sects, especially the strongest ones. Davis and Yu Xianheng are both at the peak of level 49, and half of them have already entered the Soul King realm. The opponent's auxiliary soul master is Jiuxin Haitang. Get rid of her first, otherwise it will be useless, no matter how hard we fight. Davis ordered to Zhu Zuan. Zhu Zuan nodded and quickly rushed towards Yilingling from the side of the battlefield. At the same time, Xingluo's auxiliary soul master displayed his soul skill point. Her martial spirit is called Shangshan Ruoshu, which is a very poetic name. It is a very famous auxiliary martial spirit in Xingluo. The 3rd soul skill, the Raging Wave. A Raging Wave with all attributes increased, causing Zhu Zuan's speed to increase instantly. Although this increase is not as large as that of Ningrangrong, it is better in all aspects. It is estimated that all attributes have increased by about 30%, but it is far from being comparable to the 10% excitement of the original Oscar. However, this move also has disadvantages. That is, it is a single player support. It can only assist one person at a time, and cannot support the entire team like Ningrangrong. The auxiliary status of Qibao Glazed Pagoda cannot be provoked by just any martial spirit. If you want to move Lingling, you must pass me first. The first soul skill is Leopard Shadow Attack. Oslo noticed Zhu Zuan's movements and rushed towards her. After a few moves, he appeared in front of Zhu Zuan in an instant. Yilingling was his creditor. How could he let her be bullied so fast? Zhu Zuan was shocked. She didn't expect that Oslo could actually match her speed after receiving the boost. At this time, she had no time to continue attacking Yilingling, so she had to fight with Oslo. The second soul skill, Netherworld 100 Claws, the cat's claws, and the leopard's claws, kept touching each other at an extremely fast speed. But how could the cat scratch the leopard? Soon, Zhu Zuan was at a disadvantage. What's the matter, black-hearted cat? This won't work anymore. Then you can get down here. The third soul skill, Leopard Shadow Clone. Oslo planned to use the third soul skill to determine the winner in one go. But at this moment, a mirror suddenly appeared and sucked Zhu Zuan in. When she appeared, she had returned to the Xingluo camp. Sorry, the surprise attack tactic failed. Zhu Zuan apologized to Davis. Forget it. I didn't expect that the agility-based attack spirit master in Huangdao is not weaker than you in terms of speed and attack. Davis knew that this was not Zhu Zuan's fault and did not blame him, since the surprise attack was ineffective, so head-on just hit hard. The mirror just now is a reflection mirror, right? I didn't expect that someone from the Xingluo Royal Academy would actually possess such a rare space martial spirit. Tianlin crossed his arms and judged point in his opinion. Compared to Davis and Zhu Zuan, the Soul Master of the Reflection Mirror is undoubtedly more difficult to deal with, because facing him who has a little bit of space power, Yu Xianheng and the others do not have the mental power of Tianlin, and it is very difficult to deal with him. It's difficult to hit him hard with physical attacks. I don't care what space martial spirit is, the worst is, I will smash all your mirrors. Yu Xianheng loudly ordered. Everyone is ready. Huangdao Riot, Attack Tactics. Chapter 191 Huangdao Riot. Following Yu Xianheng's order, except for Yilingling and the Shi family brothers who were responsible for protecting her, the other 4 people rushed into the enemy formation desperately. Stupid tactic. Davis snorted coldly. Huangdao's side did not have an auxiliary soul master of the amplification type, so he rushed into his side rashly and was surrounded by 7 people. What is the difference between that and seeking death? Encirclement and suppression. Davis also issued an order, and with the boost from the auxiliary soul sect behind him, the 6 Xingluo people immediately surrounded the 4 Huangdao people. The third soul skill, green scales and purple poison. Douluo Yan is not afraid of this kind of encirclement and suppression. What she is best at is group fighting. Once the terrifying poisonous mist spreads, even if she is merciful and does not release the deadly poison, the other party will inevitably suffer from the poison invading his body, and his internal organs will feel as if they are being corroded. The fourth soul skill, mirror space. At this moment, the reflecting mirror soul master used his space soul skill to absorb all of Douluo Yan's poisonous mist. Crossing Luo was already prepared for how to deal with Douluo Yan. Tianlin smiled slightly outside the court. Do they think they can restrain Sister Yanzi in this way? They are really thinking too much. Although Douluo Yan's poisonous mist has been sucked away, it does not mean that it no longer exists, but that it is trapped there in the mirror space. But this is only a fourth soul skill after all. The size of the space is limited. He can absorb as much as he can. Douluo Yan's poison is extremely terrifying. Once too much is absorbed, even his space will be corroded. Green scale ice fire poison. Douluo Yan also had the same idea as Tianlin. She wanted to see how much poison the other party could absorb from her. Davis didn't know how long the reflecting mirror could hold on. He had to fight quickly. As the captain, his opponent was naturally Yu Xianheng, who was also the captain of Huangdao. White Tiger's fierce light wave. Davis's light wave was thicker than Damude's and emitted a pitch black color. His skills came from his heart. His heart was far darker than Damude's. Thunder. Dragon claw. Yu Xianheng blocked the light wave with both hands and said with a relaxed smile, "With this strength, are you tickling me?" Being provoked by Yu Xianheng, Davis didn't care and calmly began to change his moves. Firelight cutting line. A self-created soul skill, derived from a modified version of the White Tiger's fierce light wave, which compresses the soul power even smaller. If the normal White Tiger's fierce light wave is like a stick, now it is a thin and tough line, although the coverage is small. But the attack power has been significantly improved. My own soul skill. This move is not bad. Yu Xianheng did not dare to take such an attack head on at this time, but he did not panic. After bending down to avoid the attack, his right arm began to gather endless thunder and lightning, which could not be triggered. You should also try mine, personally taught by Ocean, self-created soul skills, infinite electric light. As Yu Xianheng punched out, a huge ball containing huge electricity rushed towards Davis at an extremely fast speed. The cutting line of fierce light cannot stop this extremely condensed soul power. It is like playing rock paper scissors. If the previous Thunder Dragon Claw and White Tiger Fierce Light Wave were both cloth, Davis turned the cloth into scissors and gained the advantage. Now, it was Yu Xianheng who turned the cloth into a fist and fought back again. This move of infinite electric light was passed on to Yu Xianheng after Tianlin got the inspiration from the Five Spirits Immortal technique. Bang. Davis was hit by the thunderball and bounced to the edge of the field. At this time, lightning was wrapped around his body and his limbs were paralyzed. What a beautiful blow. Yu Yuanzhen exclaimed happily, and his grandson gave him another surprise. Okay, you are worthy of being a descendant of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family. It is normal to have such strength, but I underestimated you. Davis clapped his hands and jumped back to the center of the field. He had actually recovered. Is it because of that auxiliary soul master? Tianlin noticed that Xingluo's auxiliary soul master had placed the increase on Davis. At this time, Davis had Soul King level strength, which was better than Yushin's. There is a lot of constant, no wonder the recovery is so fast. So, what if there is an increase? If you can't defeat him with one punch, use two punches. The second soul skill is Thunder. The third soul skill, the White Tiger shakes the earth. Just when Yu Xianheng was about to take advantage of the victory and pursue the attack, Davis suddenly put his hands on the ground, turning the ground like a wave, causing Xianheng to become unstable and his attacks inaccurate. Although your strength is not bad, but without improvement, you are no match for me. Davis walked over as if walking on flat ground. Yu Xianheng, now you are like a clown, swaying in front of me. It's ridiculous. I will end your performance right now, and the White Tiger will rise from the ground, just like the White Tiger's fierce light wave before. Davis changed the White Tiger's earth-shaking soul skill. Countless huge rocks were shaken out from the ground and wrapped around Yu Xianheng. White Tiger Meteor. Squeeze. With a move of the alien version of the Earth exploding star, Yu Xianheng was immediately trapped. With so many self-created soul skills, Davis is not only of a high level, but also has a very strong actual combat ability. From the Shrek Academy side, Flanders side sincerely pointing Rang Grang nodded. Although she was not ashamed of Davis's character, she had to admit that Davis was a hard-working guy, at least much better than Damubei. She had never seen Damubei spend time studying soul skills. If he didn't disdain this and just practiced soul power with all his heart, that would be fine. After all, soul power was the foundation of everything, but he was using others to study soul skills. He spends all his time in debauchery, so how can he possibly catch up with Davis? Davis thought he had dealt with Yu Xianheng and looked back at the others, except for Du Guyan, who was dueling with the reflection mirror spirit master Oslo, and Yu Feng were both besieged by the two men. Du Guyan's poison was too terrifying. Although most of it was sucked away, the area around her was still off limits to strangers, so crossing Luo decided to keep her until the end. White Tiger Fiery Light Wave. But Davis didn't care about Du Guan's poison. He had long-range attack skills. Just before he was about to spit out the light, the White Tiger Meteor suddenly started to vibrate. You can't even touch her. The fourth soul skill, Blue Lightning Divine Dragon Speed. A Thunder Dragon broke out of the seal. Yu Xianheng had completed the dragon transformation, and his attack power was greatly increased. After breaking the seal, his offensive did not weaken at all, and he used the Blue Lightning Dragon Speed again to attack Davis using Dragon Transformation and the fourth soul skill at the same time. Although it is powerful, the consumption of soul power is also very alarming. Davis does not intend to go head to head and plans to consume Yu Xianheng's soul power as much as possible first point, but soon he felt something was wrong. Yu Xianheng's Blue Lightning Dragon attack was used continuously, as if he didn't need soul power, and he was soon forced to the corner of the ring point at this time. Not only him, but the situation in several other battlefields also reversed over time. The Mirror of Reflection Soul Master was already breaking out in a cold sweat, and his space was about to burst with a poisonous mist, but Du Guyan still kept spewing out the poison. And her soul power seemed to be endless. As for Yu Feng and Oslo, although they did not use soul skills together like them, they were completely desperate, exchanging injuries for injuries, and the more they fought, the more crazy they became. This tactic is what Yu Xianheng just said, riot. In fact, the party that was really consumed was crossing Luo. As time went by, their physical strength and soul power were consumed as quickly as Huang Dao, but Huang Dao had something they didn't have. That is the #1 healing martial spirit in the world, Jinuxin Haitang. With Yilingling around, before her soul power is exhausted, Huang Dao is a perpetual motion machine that can neither be killed nor drained of soul power. Chapter 192 Jiuxin Begonia, the best healing spirit in the world, shows off its power. Blue Electric Divine Dragon Disease. Blue Electric Divine Dragon Disease X3, Yu Xianheng forced Davis into a corner and squandered a fourth soul skill, as if it was free of money. At this time, Davis couldn't escape, so he had to keep releasing his fourth soul skill. The White Tiger Destroyed God came to fight with him, but when he blocked the third Thunder Dragon, the light in his fist began to shine. Obvious reduction. Oops, the soul power is starting to run out. Davis was startled, but unfortunately he had no time to react, and the fourth Thunder Dragon hit him head on. Yu Xianheng severely injured Davis in one fell swoop. At the same time, changes began to occur on Du Guan's side. Damn it, this woman's soul power won't be used up. If this continues. The reflecting mirror soul sect discovered that his alien space was filled with poisonous mist, reaching his limit. Sensing that this person's expression was wrong, Du Guyan smiled coldly. Isn't it okay? Then I won't play with you anymore. The fourth soul skill, Rain of Hundreds of Poisonous Arrows. Du Guyan's fourth soul skill is a range attack soul skill. Poison arrows condensed from toxins fly out in all directions at this time. The Mirror of Reflection can no longer absorb Du Guyan's poison at all, because the mirror has begun to corrode. It is very difficult to even maintain the martial spirit, let alone continue to fight. The poison of Poison Douluo's granddaughter is really like this. Is it easy to pick up? As all the mirrors shattered, a soul master from Huangdao was the first to die. Moreover, the rain of poisonous arrows continued unabated and flew at the 4 soul sects who were fighting Oslo Yufeng at the same time. Except for the extremely fast Zhu Zuan, the other 3 were all shot by poisonous arrows. They were poisoned so much that their body functions began to decline rapidly. Seeing this, Oslo and Yufeng used their 4th soul skill to knock down the 3 of them. Oslo was still not satisfied, so he used his skills again, transformed into a dragon and a leopard, and moved towards Zhu Zuan in a few moves. Damn it, the 3rd soul skill, Netherworld Springfall. Zhu Zuan's eyes flashed, causing Oslo's actions to stop for a while. Unexpectedly, this agile attack type soul sect actually mastered illusion type soul skills. This Netherworld Springfall seemed to be able to draw out the most feared thing in the opponent's heart. Oslo has always been fearless. As a sensitive attack type soul master, he dared to confront the strong attack type. The only thing he was afraid of was that Tianlin, Giran, Yi Lingling and 3 others would come to collect debts from him. But Oslo then thought about it. That's not right. He no longer wanted to pay back Tianlin and Guran's money, and he was almost ready to pay back Yi Lingling's money, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Meeting someone who was fearless in his heart, Zhu Zuan's Netherworld Spring made him feel lonely. The restriction on Oslo was less than a second. In such a short time, Zhu Zuan had no time to counterattack, and had to choose to retreat. At this moment, Oslo suddenly thought of something. If you escaped, wouldn't your defense be completely empty? He turned his head maliciously. The 3rd soul skill, Leopard Shadow Clone. The 2 phantoms quickly rushed towards crossing Luo, the auxiliary soul master. Without the protection of the combat soul master, the auxiliary was really not much stronger than ordinary people. With a scream, the 5th member of Xingluo was also cut into the back row by Oslo. Everything happened in less than half a minute, and crossing Luo was beaten until only 2 people were left. This situation surprised the audience present. All those in the Imperial fight a bunch of lunatics. There is no soul fighting like this. The agility attack system is the same as the power attack system. All kinds of injuries are exchanged for injuries. The power attack system is even more like going berserk. That Yu Xian Heng's 4th 2 soul skills not consume soul power. Of course, it is impossible for the 4th soul skill not to consume soul power, and it consumes a lot of soul power, but the petals flying all over the sky are where Yu Xian Heng's confidence lies. As the petals merged into Xian Heng's body, his wounds began to recover, and even his soul power, which had bottomed out, began to rise again. Not only him, but also Du Guyan, Oslo and several others. No, there is something wrong with that 9-heart begonia. Not only can it be cured, but it can also replenish soul power. Many students didn't notice it, but the well-informed teachers did. After noticing, she was followed by incomparable horror. What kind of genius is this Yi Lingling? She actually broke the limitation of Jiuxin Haitang's only healing ability. After joining the Resurrection Soul, her martial soul is completely different from the ordinary Jiuxin Haitang. Same thing. Just because the ordinary 9-hearted begonia can make people invincible, it is already known as an auxiliary martial spirit that can rival the 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda. Now after evolution, the entire team has become a perpetual motion machine, the best in the world. With an auxiliary martial spirit, after today, who else can Yi Lingling have? The ordinary 7 treasures Glazed Pagoda and the Golden Scepter cannot be compared with this special 9-hearted begonia, and Xingluo's auxiliary soul master is even more of a joke. No wonder Huang Dao dared to use riot tactics, because they had Yi Lingling as their backing point in the stands. Ning Fengzi had a smile on his face. It didn't matter if Yi Lingling's 9-hearted begonia surpassed the Qibao Glazed Pagoda. Anyway, this girl would belong to their sect sooner or later. Moreover, although Jiuxin Haitang can surpass the 7-story pagoda, she cannot surpass the 9-story one. In terms of auxiliary ability, his daughter will still be better than Yi Lingling in the future. Ning Fengzi almost laughed out loud when he thought that the 2 auxiliary soul masters ranked 1st and 2nd in the world in the future would both come from his own sect. No, it should be 3. He almost forgot that there was Oscar ranked 3rd. My mission is over, and the rest will be left to you. Yi Lingling said to everyone, and left the ring on his own point with continuous treatment and recovery. Her soul power has almost reached its bottom. Now with 6 versus 2 on the field, she is no longer needed. Moreover, after she left, the Shi brothers were completely liberated. They have not joined the battle yet and are in an intact state. Yi Lingling returned to Tianlin Giran's side, and Tianlin smiled and said, "Well done, senior sister, thanks. Durate petal fairy orchid." Yi Lingling also smiled back, and only when facing her own people, she would change from cold to gentle. Damn it, this won't work. Zhu Yun, Netherworld White Tiger. Before Davis gave up completely, he called out, and Zhu Zuan ran towards him. Don't even think about succeeding. Zuan Wu replacement. At the moment when the two were closest, Qibao suddenly took action, and exchanged positions with Zhu Zuan. Davis looked confused. The charming body in the past did not fall into his arms, but instead, there was a fist as big as a casserole. Zhu Zuan was not much better. She obviously rushed towards her fiancé, but why did she end up in the arms of a big man? And the big man still raised his head, as if he wanted to headbutt her. Zuan Wu. Fist. Zuan Wu. Heavy hammer. With heavy sounds. Davis was punched in the waist by Qibao, spitting out blood, while Qibao hit Zhu Zuan's forehead with a headbutt, causing blood to flow from her forehead. The audience couldn't bear to close their eyes. These two moves were obviously self-created soul skills, but do you two bosses need to be so cruel? One of them didn't know how to show mercy at all, and the other just hit the vital points, which would have a great impact on fertility. Did he want the Xingluo royal family to have no offspring? Chapter 193 Dragon and Tiger Fight. Damn it, the white tiger is annihilated. Netherworld. 100 claws. Being severely injured by the Shi brothers, Davis and Zhu Zuan were completely furious, and they also knew very well that, if they didn't deal with these two guys first, they would have no chance of merging their martial souls. As soon as two people get close, the other party will replace their positions. Zuan Wu. Shield. The Shi brothers opened their shields at the same time. With just 2 ding ding sounds, Davis's fist and Zhu Zuan's claws couldn't even leave a crack in their shields. These two guys really underestimate my 2 eldest brothers from the Shi family. Tianlin shook his head and said disdainfully, even if Davis and Zhu Zuan are intact, they may not belong to the 2 eldest brothers from the Shi family. Opponents, not to mention that they have just spent so much soul power and suffered such serious injuries, they will never have any chance of winning again. Everyone could see that the victory was decided, and the others did not need to take action at all. The Shi family brothers who were waiting for work were enough to seal the victory. At this moment, Yu Xianheng suddenly shouted, "Graphite stone mo, stop, let them fuse." What? Everyone was shocked, and felt that Yu Xianheng was too trusting. Even if he had the upper hand now, he could not take it lightly. The lion fights the rabbit with all his strength. This is the battle. What's more, the Netherworld White Tiger and AZHU's family in the Star Luo Empire are world famous for their fusion skills. Once they complete the fusion, within a short period of time, the strength of these two people will far exceed that of ordinary Soul Kings. By then, Huangdu's chances of winning will be, but it's not 100%. After all, Yi Lingling has withdrawn, and they can no longer use riot tactics, like they did just now. However, the Shi brothers still chose to respect the captain's order, and retreated to the rear obediently. They had already guessed what Yu Xianheng planned to do. Humph, Yu Xianheng, I want you to regret your arrogance. Davis was not happy and got angry, but he was also completely rude. When Zhu Zuan came to him, he immediately took Zhu Zuan's hand and held him. The soul power of the two people merged into one. Roar. With a heavy roar, a huge Netherworld White Tiger emitting purple-blue light stood on the soul fighting platform, staring coldly at the 6 Huangdao people. Yanzi. Yu Xianheng was not afraid at all. Davis had a fiancé, didn't he? Dugu Yan nodded, and also held hands with Yu Xianheng. The Ice Fire Jade Scaled Dragon and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex circled and blended together, turning into a huge divine dragon. The two soul fusion skills reappeared. Ice Fire Thunder Dragon. Everyone, retreat. In this battle between dragon and tiger, I will definitely compete with them. Yu Xianheng did not let others help, He had his own plan. Wuhandian and Shrek Academies looked solemn at this time. They did not expect that at this point, Huang Dao still had a trump card, and it was also a Wuhan fusion skill point. In this way, the advantage of Wuhan Palace has been greatly weakened. The Wuhan fusion skills used by Yu Xianheng and Li Guan at their level are definitely not something that Yan alone can resist. If the Yamui cannot defeat Tianlin quickly, and the others will be defeated quickly. Wuhan Palace had always only paid attention to Tianlin, but it wasn't until today that they realized that they were completely wrong. Yu Xianheng and Du Guyan, who are able to fuse martial souls, Oslo with unpredictable movements, Yu Feng with single combination skills, Gu Ran, the Soul King, the Shi family brothers with unparalleled defense. The world's best healer Jiuxin Heitang Yilingling, and even no matter which one of the phantom sounds that can explode, as long as they are charged up, they are not inferior to the students of their Wuhan Hall, and are even better from the beginning of the qualifiers. Everyone in Huangdao has performed very well. They are by no means an inconspicuous little player as they think. Even the golden generation has to admit that Huangdao is an unparalleled team. The strength has completely surpassed that of Wuhandian Academy. Take the move, Davis. Yu Xianheng let out a dragon roar and rushed straight towards the netherworld white tiger. What responded to him was a tiger roar. The netherworld white tiger jumped to avoid the attack, bit the ice fire thunder dragon's tail, and rotated its head to swing the thunder dragon. Xianheng released a blast of thunder and lightning, and the nether white tiger was so excited that he had to let go of his mouth. However, his subsequent attacks were all easily neutralized by the netherworld white tiger. Everyone discovered that Yu Xianheng and Du Guyan's martial soul fusion skills should have just been practiced not long ago. Although they were powerful, they could not use them very well. Use this power. On the other hand, Xingluo's netherworld white tiger is a fusion technique that has been studied by the Xingluo royal family for generations. It has already formed a unique fighting method, and they have even developed a very powerful soul technique in the fusion state. The netherworld white tiger breaks. The netherworld white tiger rushed forward, and the surging force immediately knocked the ice fire thunder dragon to the edge of the field. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Davis swept with his tiger's tail. Except for the Shi family brothers who had stronger defenses, Oslo and Yu Feng had to withdraw from the field in order to avoid the attack. The ice fire thunder dragon stood up again, and Davis laughed when he saw this. Haha, why don't you give up? How could you win over my netherworld white tiger with your half-finished martial soul fusion skills? After saying that, he raised his tiger claws and grabbed the ice fire thunder dragon again, but this time, Yu Xianheng easily blocked it with his dragon claws. The situation began to change. From the beginning, the nether white tiger was in an advantageous state and gradually became evenly matched situation. Davis smiled happily, but the expression on the side of Wuhan Palace became more and more ugly. Ziyu said angrily, Davis, this idiot, can't you see that Yu Xianheng has been learning Wuhan fusion skills from him? His fighting method, if this continues, not only will he have no chance of winning, but he will also make Huangdao stronger and stronger. The nether white tiger break just now seems to be a move that fuses the power of the white tiger and the speed of the civet cat. Yu Xianheng recalled the blow just now, and he also wanted to try to understand the soul skills in the fusion state. Xianheng, Xiaoshan told me that the strongest aspect of our martial soul fusion skills is that it has the three attributes of ice, fire, and thunder. Among these three attributes, ice evolved from water and inherited the characteristics of water. It benefits all things without fighting and is extremely tolerant. Therefore, when he chose the soul ring back then, his first attribute was also water. Du Guyan reminded, water benefits all things without competing for it. Yu Xianheng recited it several times in succession and suddenly raised his head. I understand, Yanzi, let them see the fusion soul skill that belongs to us. Okay, come on, Xianheng. The ice fire thunder dragon raised its two claws. At this time, the two dragon claws each gathered powerful energy of different attributes. The left side looked like flames burning in the ice, and the right side was like crackling thunder and lightning wrapped in huge cold air. Power, such a terrifying power. What are they going to do? Teachers from major colleges subconsciously guarded their students. From the two dragon claws, they felt a power that was at least close to the Soul Emperor level. Extremely cold flame, frozen, Volt, Dubu. Yan and Yu Xianheng controlled the left and right dragon claws respectively, and powerful power poured out towards the netherworld white tiger. This attack covered too much area, and was completely impossible to dodge. Davis could only watch helplessly as the two attacks hit him point in just an instant. The huge body of the netherworld white tiger was completely frozen, and unable to move, but Davis and Zhu Zuan in the ice did not feel cold point. Instead, the upper body was being burned by fire, and the lower body was being ravaged by thunder and lightning point. This feeling is like being in hell point. Yu Xianheng and Du Gu Yan released their fusion and stood on the stage panting. Tianlin looked at the referee with a smile. Referee, why don't you announce the result? If this continues, the two people inside the ice will be destroyed. Upon hearing this, the referee immediately said, this game is over. The winner is the Xiandao Royal Academy Huangdao team. Chapter 194 Yu Xianheng's 5th soul skill Water Zhang Lei. As the competition between Xiandao and Xingluo came to an end, the top 3 teams in this competition were finally announced, namely Xiandao Royal Academy Huangdao Team, Wuhandian Academy and Shrek Academy. No one has any doubts about the first two, but this Shrek can be said to be a complete upset. However, starting from the finals, due to Ning Rangran playing in every game, Shrek has the strength of the Soul Sect level. It is not too surprising to say that he is a dark horse. Well played, Xianheng. The game is over. It's time for us to get off the field. Let's go back and have a good rest. It is said that His Majesty the Pope will show up to watch our game tomorrow. Tianlin came on stage and patted Yu Xianheng on the shoulder to express congratulations. As for the frozen nether white tiger, they don't need to worry. This is Wuhan City. There are so many high-level soul masters that they can't save even 2 people. Not to mention anything else, just the Star Luo Royal Academy. The leading teacher is a contrapoint. The strange thing was that Yu Xianheng stood in the middle of the venue with his eyes closed. Not only did he not step down from the stage, but his soul power, which had already bottomed out, became even more surging. Yu Yuanson's pupils shrank. As a titled Douluo, he couldn't see that his grandson's soul power had reached the critical point. This phenomenon is called breakthrough. Today, his soul power was used to the limit again and again, and then restored by Jiuxin Haitang. The bottleneck between level 49 and level 50 was overcome under this impact again and again. Past point in front of everyone, Yu Xianheng's right wing stretched out from his back, looming, and his dragon transformation was deeper. Unfortunately, he only had one wing now, and the second wing could not appear until he reached level 90. The reason why it has not solidified yet is because he has not obtained the soul ring yet, but his soul power is actually level 50. Haha, the feeling of breakthrough after the battle is so good. Yu Xianheng laughed up to the sky. He finally caught up with Guran and entered the realm of Soul King Point, and he doesn't have a soul ring yet. As long as he uses the power of the soul ring, his level will definitely be higher than Guran. Haha, sect leader Ning, old swordsman, old poisoner. Look, my grandson has made a breakthrough. Yu Yuanson was overjoyed. If there weren't 2 games left in the finals, he would definitely be eager to lead Yu Xianheng and Yi Yi right now. Travel to the Star Forest and hunt for the 5th soul ring. Congratulations, Master Jade. He is indeed your grandson. He really has some of your demeanor back then. Ning Fengxi sincerely congratulated. Damn it, you actually broke through at this time. You are really causing trouble for us. Over at Wuhandian Academy, Yan said angrily. Forget it. I have noticed a long time ago that Yu Xianheng's bottleneck was a little loose when he first arrived in the finals. Breakthroughs are normal. Hulina remained calm. Don't worry, we will continue to do it in the next 2 days. During the competition, he has no time to hunt for the 5th soul ring, and his real strength is only slightly stronger than that of the soul sect. As long as he does not get the 5th soul ring, he is not worthy of the title of Soul King. Hey, Nana is right. I was negligent. A level 50 person without a soul ring has nothing to worry about. After hearing what Ulina said, Yan immediately walked up to her with a smile and flattered her. He looked a little angry. In fact, Hulina's idea was correct, but unfortunately, they missed one thing, that is, Tianlin happened to be carrying a 10,000-year-old death Tyrannosaurus, but that's not their fault. After all, who would have thought that someone would carry a 10,000-year-old beast with them? After Tianlin pulled Yu Xianheng to say goodbye to Ning Fengzi, Yu Yuanzhen and the others, he quickly returned to their Huangdao Rest Hotel. Xiaoshan, why are you in such a hurry? My physical strength and soul power have been consumed a lot, and I have to rest now. Yu Xianheng couldn't help complaining. Tianlin did not answer him, but asked Guran to check around. After confirming that no one was in the small garden of the hotel, he said, of course I have a gift for you, watch it. Tianlin opened the space belt, and immediately, a huge Tyrannosaurus appeared in front of them, but it was as motionless as a living dead, because the soul inside had long been absorbed by Guran. But everyone can hear its heartbeat, which means that this guy is still alive. This is a death Tyrannosaurus, and judging from its size, it's about early 10,000 years old. Yi Lingling said in surprise. Xiaoshan, why do you carry such a thing with you? I'll explain this later. Xianheng, what do you think of this guy as your fifth soul ring? Tianlin looked at Yu Xianheng and asked with a smile, what's up? It's really great. This is the Death Tyrannosaurus, a super powerful sub-dragon soul beast. Thank you so much, Xiaoshan. Yu Xianheng was extremely satisfied. He originally thought that he would at least wait until the end of the competition in order to be promoted to Soul King. Unexpectedly, Tianlin actually carried one with him. Seeing that Yu Xianheng was very satisfied, Tianlin nodded and said, as long as you like it, just absorb it. This Death Tyrannosaurus has no soul in its body, so it cannot cause soul shock to you. It is very safe to absorb. In that case, Xianheng, you don't have to be polite. As long as you complete the advancement, our chances of winning against Wuhandian Academy will be greatly increased. Kinming said. Hearing the words, Yu Xianheng no longer hesitated, leaped high and hit the Death Tyrannosaurus with a claw on its chest, channeling the power of thunder and lightning into its body and crushing its heart. A black soul ring emerged from the body of the Death Tyrannosaurus and was pulled over by Yu Xianheng. It took an hour for Xianheng to finish absorbing it. This was also because he had consumed too much energy in the previous competition. Otherwise half an hour would have been enough. As expected of the soul ring of the Death Tyrannosaurus, my level is almost close to the 52nd level. Haha, Guran, now I have completely surpassed you. Yu Xianheng said proudly, and he finally turned into an emperor again. It's the second 1,000 years of fighting. This is normal. After all, Guran's soul power was obtained by Tianlin through cheating. There must be a certain gap in the level of strength compared to Yu Xianheng, who broke through on his own. Xianheng, stop showing off. What is your fifth soul skill? The Death Tyrannosaurus is a soul beast with a strong dark aura. It is exactly the opposite of your most powerful blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. I guess it should bring. I'll give you a weirder attack, and even your lightning will have certain properties changes, right? Yi Lingling guessed. Yu Xianheng couldn't help but give a thumbs up, as expected of the top student in our team. You are absolutely right. My fifth soul skill is called Death Thunderstorm, but this thunder is a bit strange. After that, Xianheng activated his fifth soul ring. At this time, his thunder and lightning actually turned into pitch black color. What was even more surprising was that it flowed between Yu Xianheng's fingers like liquid. This kind of liquid like thunder and lightning is very special. It is thick, turbid, strange and changeable. It is unrestrained and free-spirited. It is like mercury pouring down all over the ground, sucking bones and squeezing marrow, and muddying the mind, and weakening the will. Yu Xianheng introduced. After hearing this, Tianlin was extremely horrified. Isn't this the water dirty thunder? It is also recorded in the Taoist thunder method. It is the opposite of the conventional Xiang thunder. This kind of thunder belongs to the yin attribute, although it loses the normal thunder and lightning, powerful attack and penetration, but replaced by extremely weird and corrosive special attributes in terms of attack power alone. Xianheng has never lacked it. Now that he has added the water Zhang Lei, it is even more difficult to guard against. It was indeed the right choice for him to leave the body of the Death Tyrannosaurus in the first place. Chapter 195. Bibidang appears in front of the Pope's palace. The next morning, after soul ring replenishment and a night of training, even New Xianheng, who had consumed the most soul power yesterday, was almost back to his best condition. The 10 members of the Imperial fight walk towards the Pope's palace in high spirits. It is said that the Pope will appear today to express his appreciation for the top 3 teams in this competition. Arriving in front of the Pope's palace, the 2 academy teams of Shrek and Wuhan Palace had already arrived and were waiting. Ning Rang Grang led ZHU Zhu King to Tianlin, and ZHU Zhu King said gratefully, Jianjun, thank you very much. My sister came to see me yesterday. After this competition, I will have a fair fight with her, even though I know that I failed. The chances are relatively high, but no matter what, at least my freedom is preserved, and I don't have to go back to that cold home again. Although Shrek's current performance is better than that of the Star Luo team, the Star Luo royal family will not judge that. ZHU Zhu King and Amu Bei are better than Davis and ZHU Zuan. The Star Luo Royal Academy was just unlucky and met Huang Dao early. The future of the Star Luo Empire would not be pinned on luck, so a battle between their brothers and sisters was still inevitable. Tianlin nodded and smiled. I wish you good luck. No matter what the result is, just go ahead and fight. Ning Rang Rang quietly blinked at Tianlin. She had already guessed how Tianlin planned to save ZHU Zhu King, and how could her brother Jian watch her friend die. Ning Rang Rang and ZHU Zhu King originally had a normal relationship, but when ZHU Zhu King was injured for a period of time, Ning Rang Rang was basically taking care of her. Friendship between girls is always quickly established. Tianlin also responded to her with a smile. As expected of Rang Rang, she really understood him better than others and trusted him more. At this moment, a group of people came out from the side door of the Pope's palace. A total of 12 cardinals, whose status was second only to the Platinum Bishop, stood on the left and right. The leader shouted loudly, His Majesty the Pope has arrived. Long live, long live, long live. 3 shouts like welcoming an emperor echoed throughout Wuhan city like a landslide and tsunami. That was not only the voice of the orderly guardian knights on the Pope's mountain, but also the shouts of all the soul masters in the entire Wuhan city. For them, the Pope is the highest belief. The huge palace door slowly opened, and everyone's eyes unconsciously focused in the direction of the open door. Even the members of the Wuhandian Academy team's heartbeats are speeding up at this time. Wearing a bright golden dress from head to toe, wearing a purple gold crown on her head, and holding a scepter in her hand, Bibi Dong took the lead to walk out of the Pope's palace with a solemn look on her face. There was an illusory feeling about her whole body, as if she was infinitely tall and no one even paid attention to her beautiful face. At this moment, she only represented the majesty of the Pope of Wuhan Palace, and all the light seemed to be concentrated on her at this moment. Everyone who belonged to Wuhan Palace knelt down on one knee and said, See His Majesty the Pope. Even if they were not from Wuhan Palace, people from 5 Element Academy and other academies would subconsciously bend down and salute her. The atmosphere at this moment is indescribable. Even a man as resolute as Tang San couldn't help but feel like he wanted to pay homage to the shouts coming from all directions. However, in Tang San's heart, except for his father, teacher and other elders, no one in this world deserves his salute, which is somewhat similar to Tianlin. The only ones who were completely motionless at this moment were Huang Dao and Shrek. How dare you disrespect the Pope? A cardinal shouted angrily, pointing at the 2 parties. Seeing this, Tianlin turned to look at Shrek and ordered, Hangjin, Oscar, salute His Majesty the Pope. Hangjin and Oscar were puzzled. Why did Tianlin only let them salute? Tianlin explained, you must have received many Soul Master subsidies when you first became Soul Masters. This was given by the 2 empires to Wuhan Palace. One of them contributed money and the other contributed efforts, so that you can survive in the most difficult times. It is a period of healthy growth, so whether you see His Majesty the Emperor of the Xiandao Empire or His Majesty the Pope of the Wuhan Palace, you must maintain etiquette. I can't control other people, but since you have joined our Qibao Glazed sect, you must not be ungrateful. After hearing this, Oscar and Mahangjin no longer hesitated, and at the same time bent down and bowed to Bibi Dong. See His Majesty the Pope. Tianlin was right. Now that they have received the benefits of Wuhan Palace, they can't treat Wuhan Palace like an uncle. This kind of behavior of picking up a bowl to eat meat and putting down chopsticks to scold your mother must never be done. But Tangsun and Xiao Wu were still unmoved. Tangsun thought that it was just a little money and it was not worth the loss of his moral integrity. As for Xiao Wu, she had a deep hatred for Bibi Dang. If he wanted her to salute Bibi Dang, it would be better to kill her. It made her even happier. Bibi Dang glanced at Tianlin with an appreciative look. Are you the rumored sword lord? You are indeed the best among men. Therefore, you don't need to salute me because you have never accepted anything from my Wuhan palace grace. Yes, your majesty the Pope. Tianlin replied, neither humble nor arrogantly. Although he did not bend down to salute, he was not without any etiquette. After all, for the current Tianlin, he is the weak one, while Bibi Dang is the strong one. The weak cannot be afraid of the strong, but they cannot lose the respect they deserve. Very. But, you have a bit of the character of your master Sword Douluo. Those who are kind will never forget it until death. Those who are not kind, not to mention me, even the gods will not let your sword heart bow. Bibi Dang appreciated. Among the titled Douluo who were not from Wuhan Hall, Sword Douluo Chengxin was the one she could barely take a liking to. Bibi Dang's eyes did not linger on Tianlin, but looked at the other Tangsun who had no etiquette at all. To her, this person was more important. The owner of a twin martial soul like himself has greater potential than the sword lord. The relationship with her is inextricably linked. Tang Heo's son has a deep hatred for Wuhan Palace and is a disciple of the master, which makes her a little more scrupulous. Even if she wants to take action in the future, she can ignore the feelings of everyone in the world, even her biological daughter Qian Ringsu, but she cannot completely ignore the master. I see hope from you. In front of the Pope's palace, I hope to see all your talents and strength. The final winner will receive the biggest reward from the Spirit Palace. Bibi Dang said, holding the scepter in his hand, waved lightly. No one saw clearly how she did it. 3 points of light instantly magnified in front of Bibi Dang and floated in the air. They were 3 different things, both small in size and shaped like bones. They were a right arm bone, a torso bone and a left leg bone. There are also 3 colors of fiery red, light blue and dark green light shining on it. Soul bones. Those are the 3 soul bones Kinming mentioned before. Chapter 196 3 soul bones. The 3 soul bones flashed with light, and for a moment, the entire Wuhan city was boiling. Except for those who had inside information and knew the final reward in advance. Who would have thought that it would be 3 soul bones? It can be seen from the light that these 3 soul bones are of extraordinary quality. Even the people in the Wuhan palace are showing greedy light. In the past, even if just 1 soul bone appeared in the world, it would cause a bloody battle, let alone 3. If this wasn't the Pope's palace, if it weren't for the intimidation of several titled Douluo here, I'm afraid someone who couldn't restrain their greed would have rushed to snatch it away. This is a soul bone. For a soul master, the most precious thing is something that can be encountered, but cannot be sought. Moreover, among soul bones, there are also distinctions between high and low, and their own quality is extremely important. Except for the external soul bones that can evolve, ordinary soul bones are more effective as they are produced by higher level soul beasts. These 3 pieces are of extraordinary quality, just by looking at them. At this time, Ghost Douluo Gying, who was standing behind the Pope, stepped forward and introduced in his low voice, these 3 soul bones are the crystal body of concentration and tranquility. The right arm of exploding and burning flames, and the rapid front Xingzi Zhu Feng's left leg is all produced from 10,000-year-old soul beasts. Except for the crystal body, which is 20,000 years old, the other 2 pieces are both produced from 30,000-year-old soul beasts. Any one of them is the best among soul bones. After hearing the ghost's description, everyone was even more excited. They were all 10,000-year-old soul bones, and both of them were older than 30,000 years old. Although the crystal body was only 20,000 year old, due to the rarity of the torso bones, this one was the value of the soul bone is even higher than the other 2 pieces, isn't it the skull of spiritual wisdom? It seems that Bibi Dang secretly opened a small stove for his disciples. Tianlin noticed it in the last game. The reason why Hu Lina's mental power is now so strong, that she can forcefully charm 6 people living in Qianshu in one breath. Just because she has an extra head soul bone, Xiao Ocean, these 3 soul bones are all good things. The flame right arm and the wind chasing left leg are undoubtedly the ones that increase attack and speed. They have rich fire and wind attributes, and the crystal the body is a rarest gem-like body. If I guess correctly, the soul master who absorbs this soul bone will recover his mental power and soul power very quickly during the battle. Qian Mengbinken said excitedly. There is no way. Who says any of these 3 pieces is very suitable for Tianlin point, but unfortunately, Tianlin didn't want any of it. The crystal body was obviously the most suitable for Yilingling. He wouldn't steal it, and Zhu Feng's left leg and Flame's right arm were nothing to him. He knew the existence of many 100,000-year soul beasts. Instead of caring about these 3 pieces, it would be better to directly absorb the 100,000-year soul bones. When the time comes, there is always only one winner, and the same is true for the champion. Therefore, these 3 soul bones will all belong to the final championship team. I hope that the 3 colleges you entered into the top 3 can go all out and win this honor. The Pope said calmly. No matter what level of soul master he is, there is no one without his eyes flashing red when he sees the soul bone. What's more, there are 3 soul bones, and strong fighting spirit surges out of the contestants almost immediately. Bibidang continued. This morning will be the individual elimination round for each of your 3 teams. The remaining teams will be able to take the lead and directly enter the championship competition tomorrow. The losing 2 teams will compete for another one this afternoon. The quota for the finals. Now you can each send 1 player to the field. At this moment, the master suddenly said, wait a minute, His Majesty the Pope, in this individual elimination match, we Shrek will admit defeat. He directly chose to give up, which was actually a very smart move, because facing the golden generation of Wuhan Palace and the Sword Lord of the 7 Treasures Glazed Sect, Shrek had no advantage at all in single combat. Ning Rang is from the support department, and is unlikely to play. The rest will only be injured by the 2 colleges one by one, affecting the subsequent games, and not worth the loss. Only in a group spirit fight can one have any hope of winning, by using his method of undermining the bottom of the box. Bibidang looked at the master. Why? The master put his hands behind his back and said calmly, for no reason, I think it should be alright to admit defeat. The master's extremely calm words rang out in front of the Pope's palace like an earth-shattering sound. There was nothing wrong with his words themselves. What was wrong was the person to whom he spoke. By saying this, he was undoubtedly contradicting the Pope. The supreme ruler of Wuhan Palace. As long as there are soul masters above level 60 present, they can see that the master himself is not very strong. He is not even at level 30, but such a guy dares to contradict the most authoritative person in the soul master world. But what was even more unexpected was that Pope Bibidang stood up slowly and nodded to the master. You are right. This is your right. I blame you for asking more. I'm sorry, Elder Yu, Grandmasters. Conversation with Pope Bibidang was in front of the powerful men of Wuhan Palace and all the soul masters who were watching the battle. She publicly stated that Yu Xiaogang was the elder of Wuhan Palace, which invisibly elevated his status. Obviously defending him. After all, even if Bibidang didn't care about contradicting the Pope, many soul masters in the soul master world who admired and even secretly loved Bibidang would not be able to let him go. The chance of master dying on the street will be greatly increased. But no one dares to do this now. After all, assassinating an honorary elder of Wuhan Palace is tantamount to provoking Wuhan Palace. Do you think you have lived too long? It's really boring. Tianlin thought disdainfully in his mind. Bibidang is so talented, but for some reason he is so devoted to Yu Xiaogang. But that was none of his business. Tianlin moved his mouth slightly and transmitted the message to his teacher Qinming. Qinming glanced at Tianlin doubtfully, but didn't ask any more questions. He then nodded towards him and stepped forward and said, His Majesty the Pope, in that case, our Imperial fighting team will also give up the individual competition and voluntarily enter the loser group. Your Wuhandian Academy team is so strong. I just hope to spend more time studying tactics. Therefore, I will leave the game with Wuhandian Academy until tomorrow. Qinming does not have Bibidang's backing like Yu Xiaogang. So even if he wants to admit defeat, he must explain the reason clearly. Although that reason makes people a little speechless. In terms of duel, will the sword master be afraid of the golden generation? He was afraid that he could push through alone. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that only 3 members of the golden generation had a chance to suppress Tianlin point, but even if it is false, others can't say anything if it is well founded. Moreover, Kinming also complimented Wu Hundian so much that no one could find any fault. Seeing this, Bibidong could only nod his head. In that case, the match between Xiandao Royal Academy and Shrek Academy will be held in the afternoon. The winner will advance to tomorrow's finals. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 197 Ning Rangrang's Tangle 7-in-1 Fusion Technique. After walking out of the Pope's palace, the match between Huangdao and Shrek was in the afternoon, and they had to go back and get ready. Tianlin noticed that when he left, Ning Rangrang's expression was a little tangled, probably because he didn't want to confront him. Returning to his residence, the master called all the Shrek 7 devils to his room and glanced at the 7 of them. In the afternoon game, you will meet the strongest opponent. I can responsibly say that Huangdao's strength is, in fact, it is even higher than the Spirit Hall, because among them, there is the Sword Master. To be honest, even if I have traveled across the mainland for decades and collected information on countless Soul Masters, I have never seen a genius like him. If it weren't for the existence of the 2 twin martial Soul Masters, Ziosen and Bibidong, he would definitely have become another unshakable mountain after the twin Soul Masters back then. Master, what should we do? Should we just admit defeat? Daimube stepped forward and asked. He actually didn't care. Huangdao was a powerful enemy that even the Star Luo Royal Academy had defeated, and he couldn't even defeat Bavis. There is no hope of victory at all. The master shook his head. No, there is another way to win, the 7-in-1 fusion technique. The key to performing this lies in Ziosen and Rangrang, both of you. After hearing this, everyone turned to look at the 2 of them. At this time, Tangsen had no expression on his face, and he didn't know what he was thinking. The reason why the master chose him was very simple, because among the current Shrek 7 monsters, he possessed the martial spirit Haoshin. The hammer is the most powerful, so choosing this martial spirit as the carrier of the 7-in-1 fusion skill is a natural choice point. But Ning Rangrang looked very troubled. Not long ago, in order to ensure victory, the master taught her the theory of martial soul fusion with different bodies that she had always wanted. With her talent of ring fusion, she could almost ensure that he can complete the 7-in-1 fusion technique by himself. However, after learning this trick, the first opponent he had to face was his lover. How could Ning Rangrang accept this? Rangrang, I know Jianjin is your sweetheart, but remember, you are opponents now, and this is just a game. Even if we defeat him with the 7-in-1 fusion technique, it will actually have no impact on him. If he blames you for this little thing, then to be honest, I will think that he is not worthy of you. The master advised. This time he was right. If Tianlin casually blamed Ning Rangrang because she took action seriously, Tianlin himself would be disappointed with his small belly, let alone others. No, master, Ning Rangrang said hesitantly. Seeing her like this, everyone couldn't tell that she still hadn't made up her mind, but no one blamed her. Using 7-in-1 fusion skills to deal with the person she loved most would be a struggle for any girl. Ning Rangrang still needs to figure this out on his own. On the other side, Tianlin also found Ning Fengzi and told him something. The son-in-law and his wife were making wrong plans again. Then the time quickly came to the afternoon, and under the gaze of everyone, the 2 teams, which had fought all the way, stood on the playing field in front of the Pope's palace. Brother Jun, I won't be polite to you today, you have to be prepared. Tangsen said confidently. Seeing his appearance, combined with Ning Rangrang's troubled expression in the morning, Tianlin knew that his guess was correct, and they would definitely use the 7-in-1 fusion technique. Tianlin smiled calmly. Then I'll be waiting for you at any time, and you have to be prepared. I won't show mercy. The smell of gunpowder between the 2 became slightly stronger. Brother Jan, you must be careful. I will. Ning Rangrang seemed to want to say something, but Tianlin interrupted. Rangrang, you don't have to tell me anything. Don't forget, we are also opponents now. Leaking information at this time is a kind of betrayal for your partners. There is only one thing you have to do now. Use all your strength to help them defeat me. Only then can you live up to your reputation as the next leader of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Hearing Tianlin's words, even the master, who had a lot of dissatisfaction with him, gave a rare nod. Although the sword master was very rude to him, at least he was upright during the competition. Sword Douluo Chenzin looked at the disciples in the field with pride on his face. Yes, in battle, no matter whether you win or lose, you must be upright to live up to the name of a swordsman. Tianlin's words were as good as 10 others. With his encouragement, the confusion in Ning Rangrang's eyes gradually dissipated, and she nodded towards Tianlin with firm eyes. It seemed that she had finally made up her mind. Then, both sides are ready, the game begins. After the referee gave the order, the members of Huang Dao immediately possessed their martial spirits and got ready to fight. Yu Xianheng did not play today. After all, his secret of breaking through the 5th ring was revealed when he dealt with Wu Hundian Academy, so he could catch him by surprise. Therefore, those standing at the front today are the two Soul Kings, Xianlin and Giran. The remaining 5 people stand in 2 or 3 positions, a very traditional formation. But Shrek's side, to everyone's surprise, did not put up their regular formation, but formed a circle. There were only 2 people inside the circle, Ning Rangrang and Meng Yiran. Zhu Zuking from Shrek did not play today because of the 7-in-1 fusion technique, except for the caster. The higher the soul power, the better. Meng Yiran is currently superior to Zhu Zuking in terms of soul power, and she is infinitely close soul sect level. Except for the 2 people in the middle, the soul power of the other 5 people also surged crazily, converging towards the center. What's this? Even Pope Bibidang looked surprised. Even she didn't quite understand what Shrek was planning to do. Ning Fengzi, on the other hand, was watching and saying something through voice transmission, but the person he was communicating with was Kinming, the teacher of the Imperial fighting team. Tang San, Damu Bei, Xiao Wu, Mahangjan, and Oscar. The steps taken by the 5 people were surprisingly consistent, as if following a special rhythm, and the fluctuations in the soul power of the 5 people also formed a special trajectory, constantly spreading out around their bodies. Ning Rangrang and Meng Yiran were standing in the center of the formation, holding hands and closing their eyes at the same time. What appeared on Ning Rangrang's body was 9-colored treasure light, while what appeared on Meng Yiran's body was a faint purple light, 2 rays of light, circling back and forth, rushing towards the sky. Change the formation, Tangson said loudly. Shrek's formation changed again, this time to 7 people standing in a straight line, with Tangson at the front, while Ning Rangrang and Meng Yiran stood at the back. Meng Yiran gathered the energy just now, and put it all into Ning Rangrang's body. At the same time, Ning Rangrang activated her special talent, Ring Fusion. Continue to introduce energy into the previous person's body, and so on, through layers of progress, and finally, the huge soul power is concentrated in Tang San's body. Chapter 198 Demon Sword vs Ocean Hammer. That's the 7-in-1 fusion technique. At this point, how could the major titled Douluo present still not see it? And then they were extremely horrified. Although the difficulty of performing these 7-in-1 fusion skills is not as demanding as the martial soul fusion skills, it is still very restrictive. Generally speaking, this kind of fusion skill will only appear on soul masters whose martial souls and soul skills are very close. Just like the 7 team members of Kanghu Academy, they were all gem martial souls, and their training routes were the same. They followed the path of fantasy, so that they could complete the 7-in-1 fusion technique. But these students from Shrek are different. Each of them has a completely different martial spirit and focuses on different directions. Such 7 people with completely different martial arts can actually perform the 7-in-1 fusion skill. Even the well-informed Pope and titled Douluo were filled with incredulity. However, Shrek Academy did just that. When the 9-color light connects the 7 people together, this 7-in-1 fusion technique has been completed. It finally appeared. This is also the only one among Uziah Gang's so-called 10 core theories that caught my eye. Very good, then let me try the power of the 7-in-1 fusion technique. The 4th soul skill, Flowing Light Immortal Killing Slash. The Magic sword in Tianlin's hand kept getting bigger, but he was not in a hurry to take action. Instead, his eyes were bloodshot and his murderous aura boiled. He was about to use the 7 kills sword technique. Shenzhen's eyes narrowed, and his apprentice became serious. What he was about to use now was probably the most powerful attack among his 7 kill swordsmanship, the annihilation of the 3 realms at the same time. Tang San had already grasped his clear sky hammer and slowly raised it. The huge light pattern on the hammer body completely erupted. The dark golden light was extremely dazzling, and Tang San himself, like the handle of the hammer, seemed to have merged into the clear sky hammer. Seeing this scene, even Bibi Dan couldn't sit still, with a look of uncertainty in his eyes. The scene before her was all too familiar to her, the real body of the weapon soul. Douluo Douluo, who was sitting next to Bibi Dan, couldn't help but exclaimed. After a soul master with a beast martial soul reaches level 70, the soul skill of the 7th soul ring will inevitably be the martial soul true body, incarnating into his own martial soul body, possessing huge explosive power, and his strength will increase geometrically. The situation of weapon soul masters is slightly different from that of beast soul masters. Their 7th soul skill is the weapon soul avatar. Using themselves as the soul of the weapon soul, the power of the weapon soul can be reached to the extreme point. If you have a terrifying weapon soul of its own, then the power that the weapon soul's true body bursts out will only be more terrifying than the true body of the martial soul. Before level 70, beast soul masters are undoubtedly more powerful than non-control system weapon soul masters. However, after reaching level 70, some weapon soul masters will surpass them by relying on their weapon soul avatars. Especially the clear sky hammer is known as the world's first weapon soul. Once the weapon soul's true form is activated, its power is completely incomparable. Everyone thought that among the top 3 academies, Shrek was the cannon fodder, but no one expected that they could actually achieve this level. Since the first Soul Master competition, there has never been a martial soul avatar or a weapon soul avatar in the competition. After all, under normal circumstances, who can cultivate to level 70 or above before the age of 25? At this time, everyone's attention turned to Tianlin. How did this sword master, who had always been invincible, plan to resist the true form of the weapon soul of the clear sky hammer? That's no joke, isn't this sword master overestimating his ability to use the 7 kills sword technique to fight against Haoshan's body? Douluo Yuguan also noticed Tianlin's movements and said disdainfully. He had also seen how powerful Haoshan's body was back then, and it couldn't be resisted by just one sword technique. The 3 realms will be exterminated. Kill. Under everyone's unfavorable gaze, Tianlin struck out with the most murderous sword. At the same time, Tang San also swung up the huge dark golden Haoshan hammer and slammed it towards Tianlin. The swords and hammers collided head on, and the huge force shook the entire papal palace. The 2 sides were evenly matched for a moment. Where the 2 weapons and spirits met, the endless fire caused by the friction continued to spread, destroying the surroundings completely. Wang Dao and others couldn't get involved at all at this time, and Tianlin didn't want them to get involved. The opportunity to fight Haoshan personally was also quite rare for him. How is it possible that Tianlin blocked Haoshan's body by himself? Ghost said in horror. You must know that at the same level, even he would not dare to challenge Haoshan's body. Now, with the blessing of the 7-in-1 fusion skill, Tang San's soul power has reached level 70, which is far superior to Tianlin. But Tianlin managed to overcome the gap of more than 10 levels. With a small 4th soul skill and a set of 7 kill swordsmanship, he was completely equal to Haoshan in person. So, that's it, a hidden god level martial spirit. As a disciple of Khan Zhongji, Bibi Dan discovered Tianlin's situation immediately. Salus, this useless waste, actually sent wrong information. If possible, what she wants to do most right now is to slap Ceres to death with one palm. Tianlin is not a concern for the time being. Tang San, who possesses twin martial spirits, is the most powerful enemy of the spirit hall. No matter how powerful the clear sky hammer is, it is only at the top level. looking at the whole continent, except for the Seraphim of Kyanjia and the Poseidon spirit of Poseidon, the High Priest of Poseidon Island. There is no third god level martial spirit in the world. For such a strong martial spirit, the feedback he sent was actually a word of indifference. Does he want to raise another enemy of the level of Tang Chin and Bo Saxi for Wuhan Palace? At this moment, Bibi Dang, who had already given up on Tianlin, once again raised his threat to the same level as Tang San, who had twin martial spirits. Fortunately, the god level martial spirit hasn't fully awakened yet, otherwise Tang San might have been defeated. Ziocean, your magic sword still lacks a very important attribute, which represents the thick soil of the earth. Without this, you will not be able to exert the power of the god level martial spirit. Such a fight will be very detrimental to you. Cheyenne Meng Bingsi said anxiously. I know, but brother Cheyenne Meng, can't you see that I haven't used my full strength yet? It's strange that the real body of the Clear Sky Hammer's weapon soul is so weak. Tianlin felt a little strange. He had already done everything he was prepared to be injured, but Tang San's Haoshan incarnation was a big disappointment to him. It didn't have the power of the original at all. I'm afraid there was something wrong with the master's so-called 7-in-1 fusion skill, HMM. Tang San's expression was extremely ferocious at the moment. Although he now had the help of the 7-in-1, his soul power was deeper than Cheyenne Lin's, but the weapon soul's real body consumed not only the soul power, but also the power of the soul point. With Tang San's current soul power, it was simply impossible to maintain the Clear Sky Hammer's true form for a long time. Damn it, I still underestimated that sword master. He can even block Haoshan's body. The master clenched his fists. It was obvious that he also understood that the longer this fight lasted, the more disadvantageous Tang San would be. Chapter 199, Breaking Haoshan's Incarnation. I understand, you Xiao gang. This cheater is trying to kill Tang San. Fortunately, Tang San is lucky. Tianlin finally understood why Haoshan's identity was so unsatisfactory. This is because the current soul power level of the Shrek 7 monsters is simply not as good as that of the original work, so Tang San's Haoshan body is only a semi-finished product. But fortunately it is a semi-finished product. Otherwise, because Tang San's mental strength and physical fitness are far inferior to those in the original work at this time. If he uses the real weapon soul, his soul will probably collapse, and then Tang Hao will have to. You cannot kill the master with a hammer. If this continues, I will definitely lose. In this case, explode. Seeing that he had no advantage, Tang San gave up the competition of strength, and instead chose to compress the soul power in his body in an instant, and then exploded again. The advantage of doing this was that it could greatly increase his attack power in an instant. The disadvantage was that yes, it consumes a lot of soul power, and if a single blow fails, he will be completely hollowed out. I want to fight for the explosion, but can your soul power be condensed like mine? Tianlin is completely unafraid. He has been practicing the skills of the Emperor Hua since he was a child, which is more pure and condensed than the soul power. In addition to practicing with the power of Xiangsu apart from Qian Ringsu, there is no one else in the entire Douluo continent. Bang. Both sides broke out at the same time, and the huge impact changed the color of the world. In addition to the title Douluo, many Soul Douluo and Soul Saints present had to activate their martial spirits to protect their students who were not Soul Kings. The power of such a fight is indeed close to that of the Soul Saint. I really can't believe that this is just a move made by a Soul King and a Soul Sect. Chu Huoguan said in horror. He had a psychological shadow on the Clear Sky Hammer, but unexpectedly, Jun Xianlin's sword was so powerful. Well, with two groans, Xianlin and Tang San flew out at the same time. Blood oozed from the corners of Xianlin's mouth. This was the first time he was injured since the competition. However, this was not caused by Tang San, but because he began to overestimate. In order to prevent him from accidentally killing Tang San and losing the qualification for the competition, he forcibly withdrew part of his power. In other words, he was injured by himself. But Tang San's side was obviously even worse. The weapon soul's true form consumed a lot of soul power. I'm afraid he would have to lie down for a long time. Xianlin could barely stand up now. but Tang San had already passed out, and the outcome of this game was already decided. Because of these 7-in-1 fusion skills, the soul power of everyone else on Shrek's side has been completely drained, while Huang Dao is completely waiting for work, and there is no point in continuing to fight. The competition is over. The winner is the Xiandao Royal Academy Imperial Battle Team. After hearing the referee's announcement, Flanders clenched his hands unwillingly. He had finally fought until now, and entered the top 3, but he still could not cross the threshold of the Sword Master. He even lost the 7-in-1 fusion skill point. If he is just unwilling, then the Master is completely angry. How is it possible? How is it possible that my 7-in-1 fusion skill can be defeated? Even Wuhandian Academy may not be able to defeat it, so why should Jun Tianlin do it? By the way, there is no soul ring. It must be because the clear sky hammer has no soul ring, so it cannot exert the true power of the weapon soul. The master made many excuses for himself. Anyway, he did not believe that his theory of invincibility would fail. Thinking of this, the master subconsciously looked at Bibidong, the cultivation method of twin martial souls. He had gone to Bibidong once before, but was rejected by Bibidong. It seemed that he had to go to her again. Relying on the previous with his friendship, he will definitely be able to get the cultivation method from Bibidong. Bibidong glanced at the lost master, but she happened to see his longing eyes, and she didn't understand what he was thinking. Not long ago, Uzayada Gang came to her for Tang San, and wanted to exchange her for the method of twin martial soul cultivation with the promise that Tang San would never be an enemy of Wuhan Palace. But is that possible? The deep hatred between Tang San's family and Wuhan Palace cannot be resolved with just a promise. Bibidong doesn't believe that the master doesn't know Tang San's true identity. But he still came and begged her in a deceptive way. Didn't he know that once Tang San's twin martial souls were completed, she, the Pope of the Spirit Hall, would be the first to suffer? When the master made this request, did he consider Bibidong's life? No, he just wanted to carry forward his theory. As for whether Tang San would cause trouble in the Spirit Hall after he succeeds in his cultivation, what does Uzayada Gang have to do with him? Thinking of this, Bibidong's eyes flashed with a trace of loneliness that she hadn't seen for a long time. Ever since Khan Zunji's incident, she knew that she had gone crazy. The only piece of clarity left in her heart was Uzayada Gang, but his current ruthlessness was almost. It swallowed up Bibidong's last sanity. His Majesty the Pope, the game is over. Can I take Zyroshin and the others back? After all, he still has to prepare for tomorrow's game, and must recover from his injuries as soon as possible. At this moment, an anxious voice sounded, and Bibidong looked subconsciously. Is Zuking, or Khan Rinksu. Her biological daughter has obviously returned home, but she has not come to see her once during this period of time. She has become such a stranger to her. The first time I spoke to myself today was because of this sword lord. Bibidong nodded. Okay, let's disband, recuperate and prepare for tomorrow's finals. She was the Pope, and no one dared to leave without her approval. It was not until she said they were disbanded that the major colleges gradually dispersed. Today's game left many people unsatisfied. Although the two sides only competed for one move, what emerged was truly amazing. First the 7-in-1 fusion technique, and then the clear sky hammer's true form. When everyone thought that Shrek would definitely win, Jun Tianlin resolutely slapped everyone in the face. Relying on the 7 kills sword technique and the simple 4th soul skill destroyed the true form of the world's #1 martial soul. Sure enough, the Sword Lord is still the invincible Sword Lord, blocking the insurmountable mountain in front of all the colleges, looking at the back of her daughter who was supporting Tianlin and slowly leaving the venue. Bibidong smiled bitterly and said, she really looks like me, but she is much luckier than me. Khan Rinksu is very similar to herself back then. They both fell in love with someone they shouldn't love. The Qibao Glazed sect and the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family of the 3 upper sects are destined to be the enemies of their Spirit Hall. The difference is that Jun Tianlin is hundreds of times stronger than Uzayada Gang. He has the potential to break his destiny. Unless he is strangled in the cradle now, even he may not be able to stop him in the future. Returning to the Huangdao lounge, Zuking immediately said to Yi Lingling, Lingling, hurry up, use Jiuxin Haitang to treat Zyroshin. She looked very anxious because she knew very well how powerful Haoshin's body was. Back then, her father was hit by the big Sumeru hammer under the explosive ring of Haoshin's body and died. If Tianlin was injured today because of the Clear Sky hammer, she would definitely make the Clear Sky sect pay the price. Yes, your highness the crown prince. Yi Lingling nodded and immediately used Jiuxin Begonia to help Tianlin heal his injuries. Brother, Zhu, don't worry. I was just injured by the counter shock force. I just need to rest for a few days. Under the Jiuxin Begonia, Tianlin's complexion improved significantly. Xiaoshan, if you really can't handle tomorrow's finals, don't participate. It's just a soul bone. If you want it, I promise to help you find 3 better ones. Zuking advised. This is good for both parties. After all, she is from Wuhan Hall, and she still hopes that Wuhan Hall will win the final championship. As long as Tianlin does not participate, then their Wuhan Hall can be said to have a chance of victory. Moreover, this way Tianlin can also get more rest time and prevent the accumulation of hidden injuries in her body, which is the best of both worlds for her. Chapter 200 Pre-war meeting. Tianlin's secret strategy. Sorry, Brother Zhu, I must fight the last battle. Huang Dao has reached the last step and I can't give up. This time Tianlin sternly rejected Zuking. He knew that after the competition, the Royal Dao team would be disbanded. After graduation, everyone would have to work towards their own goals alone, and he didn't want to leave any regrets without him. Huang Dao would not be a match for Wuhan Palace, and he knew this very well. Well, I know I can't persuade you. Once you become stubborn, even 10 title Douluo can't get you back. Zuking smiled helplessly, saying who knows Tianlin's character best in the world. He can definitely tie for first place with Ning Fengzi. So he stopped persuading him and instead returned to his resting place. But in fact he went to the enshrinement hall, got some elixirs to speed up Tianlin's recovery, and then sent people to deliver them all. Seeing this scene, Qin Daoliu shook his head. My dear granddaughter, do you still remember which side you are from? With your crooked elbows, you no longer regard others as your own, but you regard yourself as their family. Not long after Zuking left, Ning Fengzi arrived with Chen Xin and Ning Rongrong. Their son-in-law, apprentice, and sweetheart were injured, so they couldn't care less about avoiding suspicion. For Ning Rongrong, Shrek has lost anyway, so all her responsibilities in Shrek are over. The rest is to help Zhu Zuking and Amu Bei fight with their brothers and sisters after the game. It's none of her business today. She insisted on staying and taking care of her brother Jian no matter what. To this, Tianlin could only follow her. Ning Fengzi, on the other hand, found Qinming and taught him a lot of things. He already knew about Qinming's decision to join the sect, so there was no need to have any reservations about Qinming now. Ning Fengzi still believed in Qinming's character. After all, for his teacher, he dared to fight a title Douluo, even though his soul power was extremely consumed. How many people could do this with such a pure heart? In the evening, Tianlin finished his training and came to the Huang Dao conference room. Xiaoshan, how is your health? Huang Dao and others immediately gathered around and asked with concern. They all felt a little guilty. Facing Haoshin's avatar, they had nothing to do now. If Tianlin hadn't been there, they would have lost the battle with Shrek. As seniors, not only could they not protect their juniors, but they had to ask Tianlin to protect them, which made them feel unwilling. Tianlin smiled calmly and said, don't worry, I'm fine. It's just that my soul power has been consumed a bit. If I meditate again tonight, I will be able to recover to at least 70% to 80% tomorrow, and it won't affect the subsequent games. Xiaoshan, the competition is not that important. We don't need the soul bones, but you must not have any problems with your body. Xiamo walked up to Tianlin and said seriously. It is rare to see this kind expression of the amiable eldest brother of the Shi family, but it can be seen from it that he really cares about Tianlin, his junior fellow student, and everyone else agrees with him. Thank you, Brother Shi. I will not force myself. If you are really worried, you can be my protective shield tomorrow, Tianlin said half jokingly. How could his strong attack system need protection from others? Who would have thought that Shimo seemed to take it seriously and actually nodded solemnly. Okay, everyone, sit down first. I have something to teach you. Kinming suddenly said, although Zhao Ocean was injured in today's game, in fact, our chance of winning has become higher, because I have learned the 7-in-1 fusion technique. What? Everyone looked at Kinming in shock when they heard this. They knew that Teacher Qin's theory was always good, but when did he reach the point where he could understand the 7-in-1 fusion technique after just one look? In fact, this is certainly not what Kinming can do. The ones who can really see through it are Ning Fengxi and Ning Rangrang. During the competition, he kept transmitting secret messages to Kinming, which is the fusion of these 7. Learned some principles having just arrived. He taught him part of the fusion theory of martial souls that he deduced in reverse, and what Ning Rangrang learned from the master. Combining the two, Kinming is confident that the 7 emperors will also use it. Use fusion skills in the imperial fight. There is actually a soul master with the ring melting talent, and that is Yi Lingling. Once she uses this talent, she can instantly increase her healing ability to the maximum, almost bringing the dead back to life. But after that, her soul power you will be completely overdrawn, and you will have to rest for several days. To recover she can become the center of the fusion technique, but the question is, who will be the one to perform it? Originally, Tianlin was definitely the best candidate, but he consumed too much today, and such pressure can no longer be placed on him. Even if Tianlin doesn't care, Kinming will never agree. Others, Yu Xianheng, Du Guyan, Gu Ran, none of them can do it, because they are all beast spirit soul masters. The spirit of the beast spirit is more demanding than the spirit of the weapon spirit. Compared with the spirit of the weapon that acts on the spirit of the spirit is the real body acts on the soul master himself. This is not only the power of the soul, but also has extremely high requirements on the body. Xianheng Giran, who had just reached level 50, was still unable to meet the requirements to use his martial spirit true form. Moreover, after seeing Shrek's 7-in-1 fusion skill today, I'm afraid that if they make similar moves tomorrow, it will arouse the vigilance of Wuhan Palace. And they will never sit idly by and ignore it. At this moment, Tianlin glanced at someone. It was Huan Yin, who had never played in the finals since entering the finals. His eyes lit up. Who said that one must use the martial soul's true form? He only needs to use fusion skills to enhance his soul power. No is enough. Everyone, I have an idea. Tomorrow, I will be able to catch Wuhandian Academy off guard. What can we do? Everyone asked excitedly. Hey, senior sister Huan Yin, this method is related to you. How are your musical abilities? Can you learn a piece of music in one night? Tianlin looked at Huan Yin, which made her a little stunned. She thought she would just keep playing soy sauce next time. According to Tianlin, was he planning to let her play? Then he nodded decisively. Of course, I don't dare to say anything else. If I just practice the music, it doesn't take one night. Within 2 hours, I will definitely memorize the music scores thoroughly, and I won't play a wrong note. What? An honor it is to be able to compete in the finals of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy competition. Huan Yin naturally has to seize this opportunity. That's no problem. Tianlin smiled slightly. In his hand, there was a very powerful Shushan skill that was completely useless to him. I originally thought it would just sit in a corner gathering dust, but today, with Phantom Sound here, I can carry this skill forward. In tomorrow's finals, they will definitely win the battle. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.